Hello, my Teaserking family. I think I figured out how to adjust my mic so it works. In the last phase of going live, there's a default mic or built-in mic. Normally I don't touch it. Normally I'm fine. But if I reset it to default mic, if I click on it, even though it's clicked, now I'm getting good. So hopefully that's it. Now you see me put COVID in the title. So Daria, my Russian girlfriend, got COVID about 3-4 weeks ago. Got some medication and she's fine. I don't know if she was in the hospital or not. Now I just get a text from Irina, my friend in Romania with the baby, and her and the baby have COVID, and they're in like isolation in Romania in the hospital, and nobody can see her, and she doesn't know how long she's in for. And so I start thinking, what the fuck? Now COVID's back. They didn't kill enough of us with the first one. Now they're coming out with the second one. So don't understand how in how incompetent and how incapable these people are, letting this madman, this what's his name, this idiot doctor on the loose. You know, the guy that works for the government. So he does COVID-1 and doesn't get in jail, and now he's doing COVID-2 apparently. Anyway, so it's hitting Russia and it's now hitting Romania. I hope I can go to Turkey. Get these COVID restrictions. Now, I have the first vaccine, the two-parter. Hopefully that's enough, but if this is a different one, then maybe I'm going to need it. Hopefully not. And Daria just had COVID, like I said, about a month ago, so she should be fine. Just me, but hopefully it won't be a big deal. Anyway, so I wondered why I haven't heard from Irina in a while, and it was because she's in the hospital. Probably had her phone off. You know how the hospitals are. So it's amazing how these mad doctors can come up with COVID and nobody can stop them. Nobody's smart enough. They're all wanting COVID because the elitists want COVID. George Soros, let's kill everybody. The Nazis didn't do it, so let's do it. We'll create COVID. Well, create these viruses, and the first one didn't work. Let's try the second one. What the fuck? And so what do the politicians just stand there and let it happen? Well, we know Biden's corrupt, so we don't expect anything from him, but everybody else we do. All right. So anyway, that's what's going on. Just an FYI. My spoon won't stay in my soup. So I was looking up some gold stuff today, and I was reading because of that thing I did yesterday where the guy says, oh, there's this private society wanting to keep the gold price down. So I'm investigating. Who owns the most gold privately? There's this guy, John Paulson. Indian family, Stanley Druckenmiller. Then the Sprott guy who has the ETF. He's got all the gold, not the ETFs, unless they're not counting it. How much gold is there in the world? That's a given answer. John Paulson is an American hedge fund manager and the billionaire famous for having one of the biggest privately owned gold reserves in the world. He's also well known for predicting the mortgage. Yeah. Ray Dalio's a fucking idiot. Indian families. I have no idea what that is. Stanley Druckenmiller. See, here's where this is a lie. He predicted in 2005 the Federal Reserve Bank would trigger a housing crisis and economic collapse. In 2015, he had over exposure to the Spider Gold Trust. See, I don't know that these guys actually have gold or they have the gold trust. Eric Sprott, he's a Canadian who has invested huge amounts of money in precious metals, including gold mining. See, so this is not physical. So this is all bullshit. All right, sorry to waste your time. I'm trying to do gold prices manipulated by price suppression won't last. It's manipulated by JP Morgan, which is COMEX, which is what I thought I knew. And then this guy's telling me some society. I don't know what the fuck, but it's COMEX and it's going to be broke. All right. Anyway. So I won't waste our time. Gold right now is at 2027. But again, that's paper price, so we don't care. Let's get into football, then we'll get more into economics. So, the professor now is 11-1 this year, this playoffs. I have Kansas City as a dog. They never trail in the game. They're in total control. It was 7-7-7 and then 14 and then 17-7 until late in the fourth. You're getting 10 points, so it's 27-7. Once we hit the fourth quarter, it was like, okay, it's done. Even if Baltimore scores and goes up, you got to score 3 touchdowns. They can't score 1. And so they easily win 17-10, and it was also an under. Because of 2 good defenses. But I didn't bet the under. Mahomes as a dog is much more attractive. So they easily win 17-10. I'd say their defense is much better than the 21. So you've given up 7 points to Miami in the cold. You've given up 24 to Buffalo in Buffalo. And now you've given up 10 points to KC. Very interesting. I say they're by far the best team. I mean, they won at Buffalo and at Baltimore. What else is there? So Mahomes looked like Mahomes and Kelsey. Kelsey's idiot girlfriend. She should not be on TV. She should not be interfering. So when she's doing a concert, do they go to Kelsey? She does a song. Does Kelsey start jumping up and down and kissing his friends? Oh, she did a song. So I think the whole thing's stupid. And now she's in the Super Bowl. I hate this message. Gives a fuck. So KC's in, which We knew plus 10. If they lost, it would be close. Wasn't really that close. Baltimore. Why is Lamar the MVP of this league? Because he's not very good. The best play he should work on is throwing the passes to himself. That seems to be their best play. Zay Flowers, you've got to understand the whole point of the game. He doesn't understand there's a safety coming to knock the ball out of his hand. He doesn't understand the most important thing is possession, not the points. You've got Lamar, you've got Gus Edwards. Believe me, from the one, you're going to score. So you don't need to score. If you see danger, just get down, which is what he should have done. Now, you can say they would have tied the game because Kansas City plays differently then, right? If they score there at 17-14, now KC comes back and goes 24-14. But they didn't have to, so they played different play calls, different runs, shorter passes, ball control, not 17-14. That's the illusion people have. Oh, it's 17. It would have been 17-7 if he scored. No, it wouldn't have been. Not a chance. KC didn't need to score, so they didn't. They worked on the clock. Didn't need the points because it was still 17-7. Great play by the safety, absolutely. But Zay Flowers, what are you doing, man? Lamar looked way overmatched. I mean, we know Mahomes, but see, this is where we look at Mahomes and we look at Burrow and we look at Lamar. Did Lamar make any of those passes that Mahomes did? Does Mahomes didn't get sacked, didn't run one time. And basically, he would throw to Kelsey, get him open. I seem to cough after I drink or eat something. So he, that's what he's doing, right? So that's the problem with Lamar. He doesn't make that play to Kelsey for the first touchdown. Yeah, he got lucky on his first touchdown. The guy got behind him because he's running around like a crazy man. So it's like playground football with Mahomes and CJ Stroud. It hurts. They just run around and hope they get something open, and that's fine. But that's not how it works. So you have the Mahomes and the Burrows, even the Justin Herberts. The Josh Allen's a little bit too runny, but he does at least make normal throws. I'll give him credit. And that was the best thing for Baltimore as they saw Josh Allen the week before, because there's nothing new they're going to see with Lamar than they didn't see with Josh Allen. And I think Josh Allen's better than Lamar. I don't like Josh Allen because he chokes too much, but Lamar can't throw. I mean, that was obvious yesterday. So you're never going to win with Lamar. He can't beat a good team with a good defense because he couldn't run around. He's good when he runs around, which you're going to get against the weaker teams. But when you play a real good team and you can't run on them because they have a great defense, now you have to throw, and he's fucked. He can't do it. And so Harbaugh's going to keep losing with them. At what point does Baltimore wake up? I thought they were smart this year, and they'd let him go, and then they could have drafted somebody. But now they can't even draft somebody next year. I'm impressed with KC's defense. He did it against my Georgia offensive coordinator, who's a real good offensive coordinator. So let's look at it now. You'd rather have Caleb than Lamar. Caleb's really accurate, and you'd much rather have Bo Nix or Penix or Hartman or the Tulane quarterback versus Lamar. I mean, they're better quarterbacks. Nix and Penix don't run. They were fantastic. Hartman doesn't run much. Caleb doesn't really run much. Neither of those Primetime Junior doesn't really run much. You don't need the guy who runs a lot because there aren't any that win. I've never heard of one that's won a Super Bowl. The running, Mahomes scrambles a bit if he needs to. I mean, even Brady could scramble for 10 yards or Rodgers, but normally they don't. And this is where you get it. So KC, by far the best team. Great defense. Like I said, they changed. They were a defensive team, and that's what we've been betting on the last 6 or 7 weeks. I remember I locked them against Oakland under. And Oakland, I think, won a game. But it was like 20-10 or something like that. Or maybe KC won. I don't remember, but I know I locked it under and won easy. Oakland with their defense. See, Oakland doesn't have a quarterback. Game 2, the Lions are probably the worst coach team I've ever seen. It's like a college game. It's like Michigan, Ohio State, and they all get revved up before the game, and they play it. And then by the second half, they're flat. Look at the Rams game. They're up 21-17. They kicked a field goal in the second half. That was it. Tampa, they got a little bit more points. And then yesterday, they got a 24-7 lead at half. And they end up with 31 on a real late touchdown because Frisco led them because they were up 10 points. So, again, Detroit doesn't show up in the second half because they're all rah-rah. They're all emotion. Terrible coaching. The first mistake was at the end of the half. He's got 3 timeouts left, and he's not calling them, and he's letting the clock run down. And, okay, he ends up with 4th down at the 2 with 10 seconds left. So you're saying, well, it really didn't need it, but had he called his timeouts better, maybe they run better plays prior than worried about letting the clock run down because you have the momentum. You've scored 21 points on the best defense, second best defense in football. You've got all the momentum and you stop. And you're worried about the fucking clock with the 21-7 lead. Now, I'm not saying they win if they go to 28-7. They probably don't, but maybe they get a big enough lead, Frisco's in trouble. But and then so it ends 20. They kick a field goal, which goes 24-7. And then we saw the second half. Boom, 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 24-10, 24-17, 24-24. And where's the Lions offense? So the Lions committed 3 turnovers. 2 4th downs that they didn't get, and the fumble. So the first 4th down, right, this is where the coach is clueless. Okay, you fucked up the first half, you maybe score more. You've got the momentum. Then the third quarter, they come out and they're driving, and I think it's still 24-7 at this, 24-7. And they get to like, I think the 30-yard line, and it's 4th and 2, and he goes for it. okay, you kick the field goal to keep the momentum. Because when you don't get a 4th and 2, it's the same as a fumble. It's a turnover. You demoralize your team and you pump up the other team. This is the part that these guys aren't understanding. This coach, oh, he's aggressive. Bullshit. He's an idiot. If I play poker, this is what he's doing. He's playing poker, and he keeps raising, and he keeps raising. And you're going, good play. He's being aggressive. But now the guys are waiting for him with full houses. And he raises into a full house when he gets killed. So much for aggression. Aggression's not a good thing. I understand aggression. It's not a good thing, though. Right? There's a time for it, but not every time. So what he doesn't understand, it's 4th and 2 at the 30. Kick your field goal. You've scored. You ever hear in the NBA where, or no, it's football, where you're on the board. The hardest points are the first ones. I remember John Mann used to say that, or somebody, like, get the point, get on the board. And it was far more important for him to kick the field goal to go up 27-7 than give them momentum, which he did. So he goes for 4th, doesn't make it. Frisco's got the ball. All of a sudden, Deebo Samuel's fired up, and McCafferty's fired up. This is the Niners you're playing at San Francisco. You don't give them a second chance. So they go down, and the guy finally kicks a field goal. That Michigan kicker's missed so many field goals. I don't know why they don't cut him. I'm holding my breath when the fucker's kicking extra points. So he makes a 43-yard field goal, and it's 24-10. Now Detroit 3 and out. Frisco's got the ball. They hit that 50-yard pass. How does it hit the guy in the face mask? How do you not see the ball coming and catch it? I mean, that's just ridiculous. And the guy, Debo, or Ayuk, catches the ball. There was interference, but I think they picked it up because he caught it. He does somehow touch the guy so he doesn't score. And then a couple plays later, boom, touchdown. Now it's 24-17. Look what you've done by going for it on 4th and 2. Look what you've done by not continuing at the end of the first half. You kick the field goal, doesn't really do much. And now it's 24-7, now 10, now 17. And now next possession, you fumble at the 30. 3 or 4 plays later, McCafferty's in. It's 24-all. Who has the momentum? So the Niners go 27-24. Where's your offense? It's gone. It's 3 and out. It's let's go on 4th down and not make it. Fumble. You give it to your rookie who everybody loves. He fumbles. And even that play, he gave it to him to go up the middle. Well, the rookie runs edges. He doesn't run up the middle. So it was a real stupid play. And even it was a misconnection there. It was a bad handoff by Goff. So he fumbles. Now it's 24-all. And we're in the third quarter. And then we got 27-24 Niners. Hey, Bobby Bo. Well, like I said, you can't make him the dog. That was my lock. KC and the over in the Niner game. And guess who's the dog in the Super Bowl? Mahomes again. Mahomes is getting 2 points. You get 8 points in Mahomes. How much gold, how much physical do you have? This is chicken noodle soup from the can, and then this is my avocado. I had a pita with turkey on it, which was really tasty. I just went to the grocery store. I was out of food, and I got my goodies. Well, what would surprise me yesterday, Bobby, and you weren't here, was when the line moved on, what was it? Baltimore moved to 4.5. So it's sitting at 3.5, 4, and then it goes to 4.5. And I'm like, what am I missing here? Who the hell's betting on Baltimore laying 4? And what are these, the algorithms, or what the fuck? Who is possibly giving Mahomes 4.5 now? 4 is too much. 3 is too much. But now it went from 4 to 4.5. I couldn't understand who. So it shows you how stupid these people are that we are amongst. They don't buy gold. They bet bold. They bet against Mahomes 4 to 4.5. It's incredible. Yeah, I saw Ravens were going up. All the analysts on TV countdown shows were picking Ravens and influencing fans. Well, because they knew Kansas City was going to win. And don't kid yourself that it's not a setup, because who's their sponsor? DraftKings, FanDuel, Bet Caesars, Bet MGM. This is why they should never be involved with professional sports. So this is the thing I don't get. And then this is why I warn people who to listen to, right? Don't listen to Lynette Zhang and Peter Schiff, because it's the same thing. They don't know what they're talking about, and they're salespeople. That's why I say I'm not a salesperson. I'm not selling any ounce of gold or silver. So, I'll show you what I did this weekend, Bobby. You weren't here yesterday. So I bought that. This is a 1/4 ounce Eagle. I kept saying it to my brother and friend that Chiefs will win. I don't care who picked the overhyped Lamar and Ravens, they will lose the game. And I was laughing to the bank when I cashed in my 185 Chiefs. Would you bet at money line? Yeah. I hope you had a teaser too. So this is what I got. I was gonna go buy 20 ounces of silver, and because I don't know what he has, and he still had the 1/10 Maple Leafs. So they were like 230 a piece, let's say, so 460. This was 550. Maybe it was 2 1/4. It was like 440, 450 for the 2 Maple Leafs, and this was 550 for this one. So same coin. So that's 550. So I'm sitting there going, well, what, if I get the 2/10, it's only 0.20, and I got a 1/4 ounce 0.25. So I'm getting more. Is it worth the difference? But when I got home and I did the calculations, let's say it's 225. So half of that is 112. So 225 and 225 is 450, and 112 is 560. I got a 1/4 ounce for 550. So it was a better value to buy the 1/4 ounce than the 2/10 of an ounce, because you're not getting 0.25 of an ounce of gold. So this is what I got. This is what his store looked like. So the 3 bottoms are the Eagle ounces. I got the one here was where the 1/4 was, and then he's got the 1/10 of an ounce. But he sells them too much. The Eagles he sells for 250, and these were like 220, 230 for the Maple Leafs. So I don't know why you'd ever buy the if you had your choice of the two, you got to buy the Maple Leafs every time. And then that's all he had. I don't know what this is. This is some weird coin. And then a few of these little bars. And that was it. And then he had, these were the silver ones that he had. But you can see they're kind of weird. I don't like this BTC or whatever it is, or this one here on the bottom corner. I look at them and I don't like them. He had a few, like here's a Liberty or something, but I'm like, he can't get silver. He can only get this BIC or BTC. So that's what that was my day. So I show you what he has there. So that was I think it was my Friday afternoon. Yeah, I don't think so. Bank of China or something. I had the getting points and money line on another bet. You got that coin yesterday? Any silver or just the quarter? Yeah, so I showed you the silver. But again, it's not like I was getting the Buffaloes and the other. He still has the other ones, the dollar, the real dollar silver. They're like 30 or 31. So he still has those I could get, but why? I'd get the bullion every time. And it's just I got like 600 ounces. I'd rather get more gold based on what Mark McGuire is saying. Now, I really beat up Alligator yesterday. I don't know if you watched the show. The as good as gold guys, as good as gold Australia had him on, and they asked him why the gold price isn't going up. And he had this long, convoluted answer of which he never answered. Well, there's this Strait of Hormuz and Israel and this and that. And I'm like, and I kept stopping. So if you watch yesterday, I keep stopping going, why doesn't he answer the question? It's simple. COMEX is keeping the price down. And when COMEX blows up, then the price will go up. Or when BRICS has it. But he didn't mention BRICS and he didn't mention that. It was really confusing. And I'm like, get to the fucking answer. Like, why aren't you answering the question? I'll go into it and show you when I'm done with football. Bitcoin is no, it's not Bitcoin. No, it's a Canadian mint. So it's something Canada. I got the coin, I think, Friday. Like I said, I was going to get silver. Hey, Greg and John. I was going to get the silver, but to get another quarter ounce for $5.50, knowing the prices are going up to the moon, I just can't resist. And like I said, I've got so much silver, at least in my mind. I'm going to spend the money. I just assume get more gold. So it's still the thing to have. Although silver will go. I mean, don't misunderstand me, but at this stage, I'll as long as I get the quarters and the tenths, I'll do that. Yeah, I'm just about to get to that. The Lions. Yeah, so as I was saying so let's go back to football. So we talked Mahomes and how bad Lamar is and what a waste that is. If they think Lamar is going to lead them anywhere, they're out of their minds. Not as long as Mahomes and Burrow were in the league. The only reason they were the number one seed is Burrow got hurt. They never would have beat Cincinnati. Burrow can beat them. They can't stop Burrow. They can't stop a good quarterback. And the thing is, when they play a good defense and they're forced, Lamar can't run. You saw Lamar. The only time he ran is when he threw the pass to himself. Otherwise, he didn't go anywhere. They had him totally capped, and then it was all these incompletions. And I mean, you fucking scored 10 points in the game, of which 7 was a total fluke, where the guy got by the guy because Mahomes kept running around. anyway, if you need points, Mahomes ain't going to get it against a good defense, and that's been my point. So the Lion game, I was saying, I'll repeat it. It's like a Michigan-Ohio State game. The Lions are very emotional, come out very emotional. And here's in the first half, they were up 21-17 on the Rams and should have lost that game if they called pass interference. But they only scored 3 points in the second half. How do you get 21? This is the mystery. They come out smoking, they're running, they're throwing, nobody can stop them. They get to the second half, they got nothing left. They're all petered out. So they shoot their load in the first half. They come out in the second half. They want their cigarette, and they're relaxing. They can't play a whole game. So this is what happens to them. And it happened against the Rams. The Niners were able to capitalize, but it's these fourth downs. So with the fourth downs, there's 2 turnovers because you're giving up momentum. This is the point this coach doesn't get. You're giving up momentum. When you go for it and you make it, you don't gain anything, right? So had he gotten the first down at the 30 on his first one, he doesn't gain anything. He's 10 yards closer, but he doesn't score a touchdown. So then he's going to run plays, and then maybe he'll kick the field goal. But the risk is you give momentum to the Niners. You've got them 24-7. That's it. You've got them. Don't give them momentum. Let the sleeping bear sleep. And you give them momentum, and it was like a few plays later, field goal. Then you got that. Then they hold them 3 plays and out, and you hit the 50-yard pass. How does it hit? It'd be like a baseball hitting you on the head. How do you not see it? Maybe the sun's in your eyes, but in football, there's no sun in his eyes. At least I didn't think so. Hits him in the face mask, but Ayuk had the skill to see it and catch it. The hand-eye coordination. So, boom, there's a touchdown. Now it's 24-17. We're still in the third quarter. Then the next thing you know, the fumble, and then McCaffrey's in. It's all tied to 24. You have no momentum. You've just turned the ball over twice, and you're going to turn it over one more time later on. So this idiot doesn't understand these fourth downs are turnovers. It gives the other team incredible momentum, and you really don't gain anything, right? He's at his own 40. He's at the Detroit 40 or 30. He doesn't gain anything if he gets it, right? If he just gets the 2, okay, now you got first down at the 37 or 35 or whatever. Now what do you do with it? Is it worth the risk? And this is the problem he doesn't understand. Everybody say, well, he's aggressive. Is it worth the risk? So if I'm playing poker and I keep bluffing, eventually they're going to sit on a full house and check, and I bluff, and then they get me. Well, I'm aggressive. Yeah, but I don't have any money because they waited for me and they slow played me as they should have, as I do. If I get a bluffer, I slow play them. I'll check. They bluff, and okay, I got 4 10s. Yeah, good luck with that one because I know what you're going to do. And so that was really stupid. He doesn't learn his lesson. He fucked up the end of the first half by starting to play the clock. He had 3 timeouts. Keep throwing the ball. Keep doing the same plays that got you the 21, but he doesn't. He changes up. He slows down. He doesn't want Frisco to get the ball. He's not calling his timeouts. So instead of having like a minute left, he has like 20 seconds, so now they're hurrying. They get the play, and now it's fourth down. He at least kicks the field goal. But he could have easily, if he would have just kept going, they would have scored a touchdown. So anyway, then he goes for it again. They don't make it, and now Frisco gets – so Frisco is leading 27-24 at the time. How do you not kick the field goal to tie the game up? That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I've never seen that before. When you have a chance to tie the game and you don't kick the field goal to tie the game, are you out of your fucking mind? Oregon did something similar in the first Washington game. They had the ball at the 5-yard line with like 10 seconds left on the clock. Instead of just kicking the field goal and tying the game up, he goes for a touchdown. He doesn't make it. And by the way, you're not in the playoffs. Coach just fucked you the playoffs. So that's what the Lions did. They fucked them the Super Bowl. It's for the Super Bowl. This is not the time to say this is just like any other game or any other play, or it's fourth down, we got to go for it. You've got to tie the game. You're in field goal range. You've got to tie the game. You can't. And the play was terrible. He didn't. The receiver was well covered. He threw it in the middle of nowhere. You just gave up the chance to tie the game. Then Frisco goes down with more momentum and scores the touchdown, and it puts them up 10. Then they get the late touchdown, which even then he fucks up. He has 3 timeouts. He runs it up the middle, and the guy gets stopped. Do you realize you're playing the Niner defense, and that play will work 0% of the time? So he does that, and they get stopped. They use the timeout. Then he gets the touchdown. Well, fella, you were down 10. You needed a field goal and a touchdown anyway. You need to recover an onside kick any way you slice it. He should have thrown that pass on third down if it was incomplete, kick your field goal with 1:20 and 3 timeouts. And then you don't need the onside kick. Just kick it deep and hold them, which they probably wouldn't have been able to do. And you could call your timeouts, get the ball back with the minute left, and you need a touchdown. Okay. At least you had a chance because you didn't need to recover an onside kick. Now you did, and you're not going to do it, and the game's over. So, I mean, there's at least 4 mistakes this coach made that he should be fired for, but they won't because they love him because he's emotional. I mean, Jesus Christ. You can't keep going for these fourth downs and think it has no consequences. And believe me, if you did it against Mahomes, it wouldn't even be a game. And I guarantee you they won't convert a fourth down against Kansas City, just like they didn't against the Niners or Baltimore or Buffalo or half these teams. Dallas, you don't convert 4th and 2s against those teams. Are you kidding me? Yeah, yesterday proved that Lamar's throwing accuracy is still trash. Well, he's not a good quarterback. And that poor kid, Josh Reynolds from A&M, was dropping Crusoe passes left and right. Yeah, he's the guy from the Rams. Yeah, he choked. This is why the Rams let him. There's a reason the Rams let these guys go. I mean, they are choked. Goff choked. He hit a few good plays, but where is he in the second half? If you're good enough to get 21 points in the first half, where are you? Where are you in the second half? You don't show up. Okay, now we got to go to Greg of vampiring. Season is over. What we got now to bet on, TK? Did you see this, Bobby? Bobby, you bet on college basketball. Grega, you're vampiring. We got the Super Bowl coming up, Grega, and no, I don't bet college, only NBA. Oh, poor Grega. He's a nice guy. He just doesn't know when he's vampiring. So as I was saying before you popped on, my friend Irina, the one who's pregnant in Romania, we had the baby in Romania. Her and the baby got COVID. I'm going to call it COVID too, and they're in the hospital. They can't, no visitors. They can't even leave the room. Jesus Christ, what's going on? So I guess that doctors come out with COVID 2. Well, we didn't kill everybody with COVID 1. Let's try COVID 2. So it's a scary thought. Daria had COVID like a month ago. I mean, she went to the hospital for a few days and she was fine. So I don't know what Irina's got, but so this is Romania and Russia. They're getting this COVID too. He's doing some hardcore vampiring today. Yeah, he misses you, Bobby. He didn't have you to vampire with yesterday. So it's the same old thing. You're playing with emotion, the Lions. At the end of the day, their defense was non-existent, gives up 34 points. Now, what I'm proud of is my picking. I got Kansas City 24-20, which ended 17-10. So basically, I had Kansas City winning, getting points in a low-scoring game. And I have 37-24 Frisco, which I almost hit. It was 34-24. And then the Lions scored with like a minute left for the 30. And then the Frisco kicker missed. So if the Frisco kicker makes, I get 37 on the nose. And if Detroit didn't score late, I would have hit it. I would have nailed it. But I had 61 points. It ended 65. That was my lock over 44. And now there, the over did move to 52 from 50. So, again, we take advantage of Detroit's 27 defense by betting the game over. See, Detroit's a great over team because they score and they have no defense. So they're going to score. They got 31. They give up 34. And the Niners, if one team got up big, usually that fucks the over. Like Oregon and in Colorado, Oregon got up 44-0 on them. And so they stopped playing. But if you usually want a close game, but because it was the Niners down 24-7, it was okay. The Niners being down 24-7, they needed to score at home. They got a really good offense and the shit defense. This is for the Super Bowl. So they came back, and I had the game late in the third quarter when it goes 24-17, and then it goes 24-all, and it's 48, and I'm over 44, and that was it. So I love that with 3 or 4 minutes left in the third quarter, we're over. And now I'm rooting for Frisco to finish them off. I love that. Everybody's crying at the club. Oh, and the radio announcers are crying. They're all blaming. They're starting to blame. They're starting to understand the coach is out of his mind with going for fourth down so much. The one that really doesn't make sense is to not kick the field goal to tie. That's an automatic. You got to kick that field goal to tie. Because even if he makes it, it doesn't do anything. Now you got to run 3 more plays and hope you don't turn it over and then kick your field goal. So you're kicking your field goal. You're not scoring a touchdown on them. So that's where it was. I got COVID last month, but recovered fast. Yeah, so did Daria. Irina's in the hospital with the baby. I don't know how long they'll be in there, but she was there. I agree, Professor. It's cool if the better team is down because we can usually count on them to storm back because the real teams don't lay down that easy. Yeah, like Colorado. And Coach Prime laid down against Oregon. Yeah, they were showing Detroit fans crying. Oh, I can't believe I missed that. Well, as soon as the game was over, I turned on a movie. I think I was watching Other People's Money because I like to see Eddie Murphy go, I'll take that, and I'll take that at the end. But that's, there was no way. They shouldn't have beat the Rams. That was a bad call they didn't call. All right, then they get a break because Dallas loses and they get Tampa, who shouldn't have even been in the playoffs. There ain't no way they're going to Frisco and winning. Now with this, now they give them credit for putting up 30 points on this defense. Bosa had a few sacks. I'm sorry, this guy from Ohio State, I called him a bust years ago when they drafted him, Chase Young. I don't think they named him once. He didn't make any plays yesterday. He's another Ohio State choker, although Bosa is Ohio State who actually did well, both the Bosa boys. Amazing there. Yeah, they showed a grown woman crying like her best friend had died. Well, that's probably your best friend was the Lion. It's hysterical. Could you imagine the Lions in the Super Bowl? I didn't even want to go there. No, thanks. Now the announcers on the radio are crying, well, I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl. And I'm like, it's going to be a great Super Bowl, Mahomes. So now let's get to the Super Bowl. My line, both teams are A teams. So I'm taking the dog. I got Kansas City -3 over under 47. That's the first that I put that in last night. I look at the line and I'm going to call it 2. I've seen 4 for 5 minutes. It started at 1. It started at 2.5, go to 1.5. Then this morning it's 4, and now it's back to 1.5, 2. I'm calling it Frisco -2. So there's no, we don't even have to analyze it. It's take Kansas City and 8. I mean, again, Mahomes is the dog. Now, I'm sorry, after watching this Lions game, how in the world do you sit there and if the Lions put up 31 on them, how do you don't think Mahomes? Why is Mahomes the dog here to the Niners who barely beat Detroit? And KC goes at Buffalo, at Baltimore, boom, 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 kick their ass. They can't score on them. Miami, they crush. Somebody explain this to me because I don't understand it. So, again, Purdy looks shaky at best. The 51-yard pass, who was he throwing to? They got lucky it hit the guy in the head and it pounced up and they caught it, but it was a terrible pass. You didn't hit the receiver. So Purdy's been running a little bit more. I'm seeing how he can't really read the defense. He's looking around. Where do I throw? They had the ball at the 10-yard line, and he's dancing around and gets sacked. Well, you can't get sacked. You got 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and throw the ball into the crowd. You can't hold on and take a 7-yard sack. Fortunately, that's where they got the winning field goal from, but you can't do that. And so I'm not seeing a lot. My biggest question is McCaffrey okay? They flipped him on his head, and I saw him, and he was kind of doing neck stuff where it looked like he was in pain. So I'm hoping his neck's okay. He'll play anyway, but that you're just hoping he's all right. Debo Samuel looked fine. He caught 10, 11 passes. Didn't even look like there was a problem with the shoulder. So I don't even understand what that injury was. He gets hit in the side of the head, and it's his shoulder. And within a few days, he's catching passes and running and diving, and you'd have no idea his shoulder was hurt. So I don't know what that's like Mahomes last year. We kept pitching going. It's not really spraying because he's running around beating my Joe Burrow. Yeah, I wanted KC Frisco as that is the best match we could have asked for. Go Niners. Thank you for vamping, Grega. And Green Bay even gave a scare to the Niners as well. You got to understand is we're really betting Kansas City's defense. You got KC's defense with Mahomes and Kelsey, basically. And this Rice guy's looking good. And now they got Pacheco. So now they're a balanced, not a Tyreek Hill, let's throw the ball all over the place team. And it's a much better team. Pacheco scored. His ankle looked fine. I mean, again, he's questionable. Then he finally gets probable on Friday, and he didn't look like he had any injury. I mean, he ran really hard on Baltimore. Baltimore, again, they're all deceiving. Where was their defense? No, it came okay, but KC had no problem with the completions. I think they sacked Mahomes once. He just ripped them apart. See, this is the thing with Mahomes. He rips you apart. And what they did was the time of possession. That's really where they won the game, which is not really – you got to understand that. They owned the time of possession. It was like 29 or something like that at, into the third quarter. Poor Greg John still hasn't learned. Yeah, I like Pacheco also, a tough kid. No, Greg John. This is not an over. This is an under. But that's where you're at. See, Mahomes is going to own you and the Kansas City defense. So both teams have fairly good defenses, which makes this game an under. Mahomes doesn't score a lot. They only scored 17 on Baltimore. They're not going to score that much on Frisco, but Purdy's not going to do shit. We saw Purdy have a struggle against the Lions. I mean, they scored 7 points in the first half on the Lions. So that's your first problem. Yeah, they came on at the end. It was against the Lions. You're going against KC. You're getting maybe 14 points. And Mahomes will get against this defense it'll be like a 17-14 type of game. I think KC wins maybe 20-14. This is low scoring. We got 48. We can go under 54 all day. I'd much rather have that than go over 42 and try to get an over when you've got the only over they played was Buffalo 27-24, which kind of makes sense. But Frisco, McCaffrey's going to have a big game. But Purdy is showing holes in his armor. He's okay, but he came back, but he didn't look really good. He wasn't that crisp. He had a few good plays. He had that one he threw it over and the guy caught on a 3rd and 4. But can I count on him to win the game? Okay, yeah, I could count on him beating Detroit, but it's mostly Detroit shooting themselves on the foot. The 2 4th downs are 2 turnovers, and the fumbles a turn. So Detroit gave him 3 turnovers. Okay, and he did all right, but he didn't really, go back. It wasn't Joe Montana or Burrow, Mahomes hitting these guys open and going, wow, what a great pass. I didn't see that. He didn't use Kittle enough. He threw a lot to Deebo Samuel. I mean, give him credit for that. Give him credit for the win. But he's not at Burrow's level or Mahomes' level or an Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. So that's where I don't see the over at all in this game. Kansas City's an under team. They don't give you a lot. They make plays. They get to the quarterback. I think they're the better team here. That's why they should be 3-point favorites. This is unbelievable that the Niners are favored. Why? Because they beat Detroit. They're the better team. I mean, I don't understand that at all. So anyway, that's where I'm at with this. KC gets the win. Frisco gets the win. We get a good Super Bowl. Should be a good game. At the end of the day, it's Mahomes and Kelsey better than Purdy and Kittle. And then it's the defenses are pretty much even. I mean, the Niners have a great defense, but they're not going to be able to really stop Mahomes or Kelsey. They'll do the same thing in Rice, these quick little passes. Kelsey gets open. Who's Greenlaw going to cover him? And I think that's the difference. And not that I'm a big Andy Reid fan because he choked so many times at Philadelphia, but let's just say Mahomes will give them the edge. Defensively, they'll be close. But I don't see you getting a lot of points in this game. So I'm looking at taking the dog again. It's 2 A teams. Play the dog. In this situation, you have 220 defenses, so I'm going to play the under. Just like the Kansas City-Baltimore game was a 27. I don't think you're going to be far off on that. Where are you going to get the points from? You don't score a lot on KC, and KC takes the air out of the ball, as you can see. They had all the momentum. They ran the ball when they wanted with Pacheco and these little quick passes from Mahomes. So it's not they're just going to grind you down and ball control you, rest their defense, and just take time off the clock, and then whatever they get, they get. They're not doing 60-yard passes anymore. They don't have Tyreek Hill, which makes them really tough, is Pacheco. Now you got Pacheco running with Kelsey and Rice receiving and Mahomes. Who do you guard? And if they see too much, they give it to Pacheco, and they can run him all day. So this is not an easy – now, same thing with the Niners. They got McCaffrey with Deebo Samuel. They don't use Kittle like that, but I don't like their coach. I don't really like Shanahan. I didn't like Shanahan's father, and I really don't like this guy. I like McVay better at the Ram coach than this guy, but he doesn't. I mean, for an offensive guru, I'm not seeing it. So I don't know. Nick, be careful what you put in video title. After all the Lamar and Josh Allen hype, Mahomes is proving this year that he is the best. And it's not even, what did I put in the title? I thought I put something about COVID, but I put NFL playoffs and I put COVID, I thought. Didn't I? Let's see. NFL playoffs, KC, San Francisco, gold, inflation, COVID-2, economics, masters. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. What am I saying in the title? After all the Lamar and Josh Allen hype, Mahomes is proving this year that he is the best. And it's him and Burrow, Bobby. And Aaron Rodgers didn't play. He'd be up there, but it's him and Burrow. Burrow's the only one that can beat him. Burrow beat him twice. Brady beat him twice, and nobody else. So you need that level of quarterback to beat him. So Aaron Rodgers could give him a game. That's it. Purdy's not going to give him a game. So if we go with logic and we sit there with Mahomes against anybody, Mahomes is going to win against Purdy. So if we base it on that fact, then you just keep betting Purdy. But this is why I couldn't believe they paid Lamar that much money. Who does he beat? He's won 2 playoff games only because he got knocked out in the first round of the others. Is because one of them was Tennessee, who were all banged up. And then this year he beat a crappy Houston team. Although everybody will tell me how great C.J. Stroud is. How many points did Houston score in their playoff game? Oh, yeah, 3 if we don't count the punt return. So give me a break. This is the difference, how I analyze and the rest of these people that want to analyze these things who, look, C.J. Stroud, he did this and did that. Yeah. How did he do in the playoffs? He doesn't show up. Why would I bet him then? That's the thing. Just a warning about misinfo under your video. What are you talking about, Nick? What are you talking about? Misinfo under your video. I don't know what I didn't put Lamar or Allen or Mahomes. I just put NFL playoffs. COVID it's not football. Economics. So I don't know. Just give me a specific. I don't know what you're talking about. Because I'm not a Lamar fan, so I didn't say Lamar was good. Misinfo under your video. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Be specific about that. So anyway, they're doing flag fucking football. Seriously, this is how stupid it is. We can't do a real game because nobody wants to get hurt. I'm so tired of this. Nobody wants to get hurt crap. Go play golf or something. My God, this is what you're not gonna do things because that. Well, it sounds like he is, Bobby. I mean, there's nothing under my title about misinformation under my video. I talk about 25 different things. We always touch economics, which we were talking about, and gold and alligator. Maybe he's talking about alligator. I don't know. But I don't have anything on Lamar or Josh Allen. Be careful what you put in your video title. Okay. Don't know what you're talking about. Misinformation. I don't put misinformation on anything. I put what I feel is my opinion on things. And if I'm talking about gold or paper gold or things like that or Bitcoin or whatever, that's all fact. That's not misinformation. I don't really like that I'm hearing that. Who I got in the flag football game? I got you, Greg and John. The Mannings, like we can't get enough of the Mannings. Who the fuck are the Mannings? Oh yeah, that guy, the giant quarterback went to the Manning camp. You should draft him. And oh, by the way, he sucks too. Yeah, exactly, Bobby Bo. And there's the skills thing. I feel like I'm watching the NFL or the NHL, a skills competition. What the fuck is that? Oh my God. Just have a Pro Bowl game. And if you're not going to have a game, then don't have anything. What is flag football? And then I love how the Lions, the Ford Dome was sold out. They charged $20 a ticket. Do you believe this? They charged $20 a ticket, and all these idiots went down to watch the game in the stadium. There's no game there, people, right? They probably had to pay, $50 for parking and $20 for hot dogs and beers. To do what? Watch the game on TV? If that was me, I'd have been at the MGM casino watching the game. Bobby, yeah, I think they just doing it for ratings and all that, but what the fuck is going to watch that? Here comes Greg and John. I played flag football. See, Greg, this is the problem with you. Me and Bobby played regular tackle football, right? We didn't play flag. I've never played flag football. I've always played tackle, or if it's just with the friends, we'd play two-hand touch or something. But I was a kid, 9, 10, 11 years old in the backyard. We were playing tackle football. We didn't play no flag football. I would get more entertained waiting 10-year-olds play a damn flag football game than these overpaid bastards being scared to get hit. That's the whole point. I mean, come on. You can't be afraid. You can't play football and be afraid to get hurt. I saw how physical the game was in 10th grade. I played 8th and 9th, and I saw how big and physical it was in 10th, and I said, I'm out of it. I don't want to break my leg or my back or something. I'm going to get injured. I don't want anything to do with it, which is fine. I didn't want to get injured, so I said no. But if I want to play, I know I'm going to get injured, and it's going to fuck up my golf and my baseball, so I didn't want anything to do with it. But that's, you're going to get hurt, so I don't understand this whole thing. Oh, shit, I didn't know that professor played that school. I played they made me – I was a great receiver, and they made me a guard, and I played linebacker. So it was cool. I'm playing linebacker, and I'm watching the other team. This is 8th or 9th grade, and they set the running back out. So I immediately knew what the play was going to be. As the linebacker, I go, they're going to throw to the guy. So he comes up and cuts across, and I knock the ball down. And I know the ball is coming to him, and I was there to stop the play. But, that's how quick I was. I knew, wait a minute, they don't slot the receiver out, the running back out. So I knew they were going to throw to him. I had the ball. I was going to intercept the ball. It was coming right to me, and then the receiver knocked into me. And so it got incomplete, and I'm bitching for a flag. I'm going, he interfered with me. Come on. So in the middle of the play, I'm yelling for pass interference. Well, I was Ray Lewis. I was very good at knowing, because I watched so much football. I mean, since I was 6, 7 years old. And this is 14, 15. I know all the plays, right? Because I watched all the, Joe Namath and the Packers and everybody. So in practice, ninth grade would practice the eighth grade, and I knew what the plays were going to be because of the formations, and I would just go in and blow up all the running plays. I loved it. I would just go up and tell, they were losing. It was like, it was so easy because you knew they weren't going to throw, and they're just handing it off, and I'm blowing up the plays. You went to school in Detroit? Yeah, junior high and high school in the Detroit area. Who is the best coach these days? Who is the best coach these days? Probably the guy at Washington. I like him. See, if I was a pro team, I'd get. See, like I said, Dallas should have gotten rid of this coach and picked up Nick Saban. That's if I'm Dallas, that's who I go after is Nick Saban, not Mike McCarthy. I mean, who would you rather have, Mike McCarthy or Nick Saban? So that's what I would have done. Belichick, I think everybody's so high on it. I would not take Belichick. He's without Brady, he's nothing. Maybe he would have done something at San Diego because they had Herbert, but I think they're much better to have gotten Harbaugh. And Harbaugh, the brother, he's a choke. He is a choke. He does the same thing every year. He doesn't know how to win, right? He keeps choking. He had no game plan for Mahomes. He's got Lamar, so he's handicapped. Why does he keep going on with Lamar? At what point do you go, Lamar can't win a big game? At what point? The only reason they beat the Niners the way they did was they got 4 picks from Purdy because Trent Williams, the left tackle, got hurt and had to leave. And then it was just free sailing. They'd go around the corner and they'd sack Purdy every time. But you didn't have that yesterday, and you didn't have it against Kansas City. So I don't know. Kansas City does have an all-pro lineman who didn't play yesterday. So hopefully he'll be back for the game. Yeah, I think he did go to Bama, but I still want to – we know who I'm talking about if I say he's the Washington coach. If I say he's the Alabama coach, we're all going to think I'm talking about Nick Saban. But, yeah, I think he's the best. Bobby played football. Wow, you was a beast, Bobby. Craig John, where'd you learn to talk? You was a beast? Yeah, he only had that one fluke year when Flacco got lucky with the Hail Mary type passes. Yeah, I mean, and he beat the Giants, or was that the same thing? With the real strong defense. Yeah, I think they just won one title. But I mean, to me, Urban Meyer is a great coach. I don't know what he did at Jacksonville. Seemed like he was more interested in the girls, which I don't blame him. But you think he could have done it more discreetly. I was a little bit strange today. Daria said that they called for the passports. She said, I'm working Friday. I'll go get them today. And I'm waiting for her to say, okay, I got them. And I need the names on the passports for the tickets to Turkey. And I never heard from her today. So it looks like she worked because I can tell when she's working, she's on WhatsApp like every 20 minutes or every half hour. She's on it, checking who's messaging her. And so I never heard from her. So I keep saying, are you okay? What, if she needed money, she'd be able to text me from work. Otherwise, either she doesn't want to bother me or she just doesn't have time. But she must have been called into work because she said, I'll get them Monday. So at least they're in. She just has to pick them up. So I started looking at weather, and Turkey's like 55 with a low of 30-something at night now, and that'll be through March. And then we'll see. I want to go to Anatolia as opposed to Istanbul. Istanbul's all mosque and churches. I'm not into that. But I don't know if the beaches will be open and the boats that, we can get on a boat or something, and they have the bazaars and the restaurants. So we'll find something to do. I'll try to get a hotel with a pool if it's not too expensive. and do that. But I'm excited about that. So that's coming. She just had COVID, so I'm not really worried about it. I hope I don't need a vaccine or anything to travel in a month to go to Turkey. Like I did get the initial vaccine, so I could travel. So I'm hoping nothing comes out of it. But this is the second person I heard getting COVID. Yeah, I think there was another coach before Harbaugh who's beat the Giants in 2000 or something like that. Well, New England didn't beat the Giants. Oh, for Baltimore. So Baltimore won their first Super Bowl before Harbaugh. See, Harbaugh's problem is he's not a coach. He's a special teams coach under Andy Reid. So he's not really a coach. He doesn't know offense. He doesn't really know defense. He hires these coordinators. So he's got the Georgia coordinator. They look good scoring this year, beating the Niners and stuff, but that was a fluke because the tackle got hurt. But he can't beat Mahomes or Burrow. This year he got Mahomes. Burrow is injured. Next year, if Burrows is healthy, he won't be able to beat him. So it's just it's just crazy that how good Mahomes is, and then we get him as a dog 3 times, and he wins the games easily. I mean, there was no sweat in the Buffalo game. They had the lead, and there was no sweat here. We're up 17-7 early in the second quarter, and I'm waiting for Baltimore. Let's see if we give up. But we got to give up 3. We got them 27-7. We might get fucked if we give up 3 touchdowns and we don't score. But as it got into the late in the third quarter and then in the fourth quarter, you're realizing, they had the interception in the end zone and Zay Flowers. So they could have had 2 touchdowns, but KC would have answered. They didn't need to answer, so they didn't. And so that was what it was. But yeah, I got 8 points in Kansas City again. And I don't see any way that KC loses this game. They got the better defense and Mahomes against Purdy. And this is where Purdy's limitations get to him. He's just too inconsistent. He's not it. He's not gold, as I was saying before. We look for gold in everything, right? Gold, but then we look for gold in the football players and in the stocks and whatever else you would get. He ain't gold. Mahomes is gold and Burrow is gold as far as I'm concerned. And Herbert's like silver, but I don't put Purdy up there like that. So anyway. Well, Bobby doesn't know. That's what he's saying. I don't know who the coach was who coached Baltimore over the Giants, if it was Harbaugh or not. Maybe. I don't know. It's a long time ago that Flacco was the quarterback. But that's the thing. I didn't think Flacco was that good. That's why I bitch about Stroud and these guys. Oh, he's good. He's not good. He's not Mahomes and Burrow good. That's my point. Doesn't look like Herbert. He scrambles and plays street ball like Lamar and like Hurts. This is you get with these dual option quarterbacks. They want to just create, but Mahomes doesn't create. Mahomes hits these guys for touchdown, and they're all plays. So that's really the difference. But anyway, I think I don't have the score yet. I gotta look for injuries and stuff, but the game's in Vegas. Should be in Oakland. It would be better. Game's in Vegas, so it's in a dome, so you got nothing. I don't understand why it's in Vegas. The one thing Vegas does not need is a Super Bowl. I mean, they have all the gambling and all the other stuff. They don't really need the Super Bowl there. And, I'm getting really turned off to go there because I guarantee you on your hotel bill is, well, the room was $50. The resort fee was $75. And the tax for the football stadium's another $50. So you're at $200 to pay for your $50 room. with all this bullshit resort fee and stadium tax. The guy's a billionaire. He can pay for his little toy himself. You don't need our stuff. Anyway, so you can see why I got the guy last week who said, "Oh, I got inside information. Baltimore is going to blow him out." This is why I don't like that on my show, in my class, because people could read it and bet on Baltimore and go, "Well, the professor said." No, I didn't say. And as it turns out, we were right. And I don't know if he's bullshitting. I don't know who this Pedro Gonzalez guy is, or Pedro Martinez. Sounds phony. Again, who would use that name? But anyway, so let's do a little economics. So you missed the last one, Bobby, I think on Saturday or Sunday. Very good. So I went through. Let's start at the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1929. So I read who was the Alabama of the countries last week. So it was Rome, and then it was Amsterdam, and then Spain, and then it was France, and then it was England. They were the number ones. They had all the gold, and then the same similarity. As soon as they lost their gold, they weren't number one anymore. They fell apart. So the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1929. This is July 13, 1993, I believe. Trade implosion and causes of the Great Depression. Smoot-Hawley. So this is something that isn't needed. You're tariffing, which means you're putting a tax on goods coming from whoever, Japan, Germany, China, whatever. 1929 stock market crash. November 29 to April 1930. By April, the market regained 2/3 of its losses. What Great Depression? Everything got gained back. So why is there a depression? Then the Smoot-Hawley tariff. Oh, okay. So the market crashes, comes back by April, and then they do the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which causes the depression, among many other things that the government did, like do highways, do dams, and do bridges and trains and stuff. And by the way, they did not take your gold. They didn't compensate the gold. They gave you the market value of gold for it. So they said, if you turn in your gold was like $20 and I guess 65 cents, Alligator said. So if you brought your gold in, they would give you the money for it. So they weren't really compensating it. You were getting a fair shade. The problem is now there is no real price of it. Maybe you go with the 2050 that's in COMEX, but it's not really an official price. Germany and Japan needed world trade. Japan, zero economic resources, must import everything, which means they don't have anything. So they want lights or oil or energy and things like that. They have to import it. They have no oil. Germany, some economic resources, must import food. Tariffs hurt them the most. War party comes into power in both Japan and Germany because of this Smoot-Hawley tariff. Basically causes World War II and kills millions of people. And again, this is the government at its finest, fucking up with the world. The autography, Hitler, Germany should stand alone. Smoot-Hawley, one of major reasons for World War II, hurt agriculture industry. They cannot export. Then they glut and prices drop in the U.S. 30% of banking disappears in 1929 and 30, agriculture banks. So there would be banks that would just loan to the farmers. So the farmers would deposit and then they do the loans, just because we know how a bank works. But there's manufacturing banks and agriculture banks. So the agriculture with this they couldn't sell their grain to Germany and Japan. So they would do wheat and corn and stuff, and then they'd ship it to Germany. So their customers, like now, we're China's customers, which is going to India. But in this case, we had the agriculture, the food, we would send it to Germany and Japan because they couldn't grow it. It must be that black forest in Germany or whatever. So the banks who supported the farmers, because nobody sits there with $1 million in the bank. You got to borrow based on your credit. So they would borrow, but they couldn't pay back because they couldn't sell to Germany because they did this tariff act. It's insane. A new era, more depressions or no more depressions or recessions. This is what the new era is. The Fed will print some money. Commercial banks, short-term notes stay liquid, save long-term banks failed. New era. We'll have to get more in the new era just a second. 1929 to 1930, Hoover, the president, comes up with his New Deal, and what does he fucking do? He raises tariffs, government spending, reflate the economy. So here comes inflation. Let's print the money. Raises taxes, keep wages up, causes unemployment. So maybe the minimum wage, I guess. Bank of the U.S. crashes. But no, there was a Bank of the U.S. specialized in home equity loans. So you can't sell. So everything repeats. This is 1930. And yet what happens in 2008? The real estate crashes, killing the banks. So they never learn. 1931 bottom out, depression went worldwide. Austria, Germany, no credit, can't export, can't pay off debt. And Hitler comes in 1933, comes to power. 1931, Britain goes off gold, big mistake. See what happens when you go off gold? Nothing good happens. Gold exchange standard, use gold and gold-backed currencies. France and the Netherlands get hurt, causes a depression as price of gold drops when Britain goes off of gold. Again, we don't have a free market for gold. Why don't we? 1932, this is chapter 37 if you have your books. 1932, U.S. goes off of gold. Reflation, try to inflate, didn't pass. Doesn't make sense. You want to print. Agreement in France to let Germany out of their war debts. So from World War I, Germany owed money for the wars. Both parties got conservative Democrats and Republicans. The Democratic Party platform, free trade, gold standard, cut government spending, reduce taxes, and deregulate. These are the magic words that every country should have. And they promise it, but they never deliver it. It's fucking ridiculous. Then the biggest scammer of all, this guy made, Pedro Martinez is the guy. So the biggest Madoff of all time, FDR, comes in. Everybody liked FDR. He was a salesman. He had really good charisma, but he was a Keynesian, and as a president, he was horrible. He comes in 1932, March 4th, 1933, FDR takes office, takes us off the gold standard, and he raises taxes. But he didn't run on that platform. He ran on low taxes and gold. And then here you go, the bank holiday, opens only solvent banks. FDR starts the New Deal, Chapter 41. The New Deal, the platform was free trade, gold standing, cut government spending, reduce taxes, dereg, but he didn't do any of them. He did just the opposite. No free trade, outlaws gold, raise government spending, raise taxes, and regulates. So everything he runs on, I'm going to give everybody $1 million so they vote for me, and then I don't do it. Well, he said he would. Yeah, but I can't. But that's what you ran on. I mean, this is why they should, get rid of the people like that. If you run on a false pretenses, you should get fired. 1933 London Economic Conference. 1947 GATT, which is for free trade. 45 was Bretton Woods, which is gold. So the London Economic Conference says, let's restore trade and sound money. And the U.S. won't do either one. The conference blows up, and we have World War II because FDR is a motherfucker. You could have avoided World War II. FDR, great salesman, no substance. Why Germany and Japan went to war? 1, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, because they couldn't get food in or oil. 2, the London Economic Conference failure, where had we restored trade and sound money, they wouldn't have went to war. But without it, you left them no chances. Branch banking versus unit banking. Canada and England are banks that are branch banking. Banks can diversify portfolios, starting strong parts help weak parts. Like, so if you're if you're in agriculture and manufacturing, but if you had to be in one, you couldn't help. If that went down, you were out. Unit banking, U.S., each bank stands on its own. If you're only in agriculture and agriculture goes south, bank goes south, this causes bank failures. I said it before I read it, okay? Basic monetary policy to get out of the depression. Reflation, another new term. Basic monetary policy to get out of the depression. It says inflation. This did not work. Lower the value of gold to $135 an ounce. This did not work. It fails. Fiscal policy, spending of the government. Keynesian economics. Spending creates savings. Too much savings, equilibrium output. Don't want to get into the graph, but Keynesian economics is government spending, which doesn't work, as we know, and they keep doing it, and it never works. Keynes was brought in by FDR. This is 7/14/93. Keynes is brought in by FDR. Depression caused by underconsumption is what he says. Fiscal policy. Too much savings. Producing more than consumption. Tax the rich. 1936, tax and spending, same by government. So you tax and spend. So whatever you get in on tax is what you spend. The New Deal, heavy progressive income tax, high inheritance tax, and excess profits tax. Basically, it's tax, tax, tax. The problem is if you don't have any money, how do you create an economy? I can't buy things if you don't leave me any money. And we spend our money better than the government ever could. The economy drops, major recession, 37-40. By the way, we have a world war starting. New Deals end in 1938. They don't work. So they were there 36, 37, fucking up the economy. Keynes protectionist. Protectionist is no good. You want to trade with other countries. So in other words, if Germany has Mercedes and we have food, we would trade them food for the Mercedes. Under Keynes and the protectionists is we don't deal with any other country. We just have our own. Worried about unemployment, wages are rigid downward. Monopolies, tariffs, unions. Monetary increased demand. This doesn't work. It's inflationary. Monetary policies, fiscal policies. The fiscal policy, stimulate the economy, government spending, disagrees with Say's law. That's not what you do. You don't spend money to stimulate the economy. The economy is stimulated by us working and spending in the economy, not by government just spending. You've got to make it and then spend it, and we've got to make the determination, not government just saying, I'm going to build a bridge and spend all this money on it. That doesn't do shit. Keynes is an idiot, but for some reason, people like him. Japan, World War II, Japan, big issue, Manchuria, 1920s from China. They have natural resources, economic colony of Japan. 1917 Comintern is communist. So just they keep trying to bring these different names and to call communism and communism. Mao Zedong is in charge, makes Manchuria communist. I don't get the big allure of communism. Is it a dictatorship? I mean, here's Mao. What is Mao? How does he benefit by being communist versus capitalist, which is the best way? Don't understand. 1931, Japan invades Manchuria to stop Mao and stop communism and protect investments. It's always about money. Badfellow Stimson, Secretary of State under Hoover, he wants to stop the Japanese from doing this. Then he goes to FDR and he appoints him Stimson warmonger, or he was a warmonger. 1940, FDR declares an economic embargo on Japan. This caused Japan to go to war. We brought Japan into the war because of this economic embargo, which they talk about in Godfather, the first one. So they're trying to stop. So they invade, and the Stinson guy steps in and fucks everything up. He was a warmonger. 1940, FDR declares an economic embargo on Japan. So that means they can't get oil. Well, how are they supposed to survive if they can't get oil? You're fucked, right? So that's what FDR does. And so they invade us going, we need oil. July 1941, oil and steel embargo on Japan. Steel embargo also. FDR won't negotiate. He pushes Japan into World War II. I don't know if he did this on purpose so we would get into the war, because nobody wanted the U.S. in the war, in the World War II after World War I. And so therefore, if nobody wants us, why are we getting involved in Europe's war? And to stop Hitler, let Europe stop Hitler. And it was something they couldn't do. We had to get into the war. I was thinking about this. The problem that Germany had is the way they attacked Russia. Had they took three different troops. One went north to the sea, one went to Moscow, one went south for the oil. And if they just would have done one at a time, taken the sea, owned it, then went after Moscow and got it, and then went to whatever else, they'd have probably won. But since you didn't do that way, you did all three at the same time, you're in big trouble. So FDR pushes them into the war. November 26, 1941, Japan goes to war against U.S. FDR knows Pearl Harbor will happen. He doesn't tell anybody in Hawaii. This is your president. This is your coach, right? Your football coach. Knows it will happen, but he doesn't tell anybody. He knows the Japs are going to invade. FDR deliberately didn't tell them. Can you believe this shit? See, and then you get all like, oh, I trust the government. I trust the government. He fucking let the Japs bomb Pearl Harbor knowing it's going to happen, and he let it happen. It's the same thing with Hitler living until 1962 in Argentina. Oh, yes, he did escape. He didn't die in his bunker. Only idiots would believe, well, I don't know. There's a body that's burnt in a towel. It must be Hitler. Who else could it be? And Hitler's like gone. He went to Argentina, a week ago through his little, he had a bunch of tunnels under the bunker so he could just get out. They had 5 exits. Ain't nothing. If the theory doesn't work in practice, then it is a flawed theory. Okay, not sure what you're talking about. Hey, TK, what's new in gold? Nothing. We're waiting on gold. What's new, sir? Well, how do you know he's a sir? Nothing for something. They moved a lot of the fleet out of Pearl Harbor for a reason, but they still left Pearl Harbor there. They still had boats there. Yes, I know the big destroyers, I think, weren't there, but they sunk enough ships to create this problem to get into the war. But he knew it was going to happen. He should have taken out the Japanese fleet. Gregory John, what's up? Hope you are doing well. I'm most definitely a sir. Okay. Well, it's hard to tell. Nothing for something could be, usually that's a girl who wants something for nothing. Girls want your money for nothing. So 1940, where am I? Okay, so he knows Pearl Harbor. 1943, Japan approaches the Pope. FDR won't negotiate with the fucking Pope. 1944, Japan approaches Sweden. FDR won't negotiate. 1945, Japan approaches Stalin, and FDR won't negotiate. So Japan wants to get out of the war. It's just like the U.S.-Russia war going on now. They want to end it, and the U.S. won't negotiate. I'd tell the U.S. to fuck off. Japan went to war due to the oil embargo that we created. So we created them to go to war, much like we created Hitler and much like we're doing this whole war with Russia right now. Hitler, a paper hanger, a murderer, a Nazi National Socialist Party. He's a socialist. I don't know why they call him right-wingers. He's a left-winger. Socialist, communist, it's all left-wing. I get offended by that because we're right-wingers. We're very conservative. People that just want, a gold standard, leave us alone and stuff like that. 1924, backed by Thule Society, racist, socialist, autocracy, 30% unemployment, Jews were the scapegoat. Sounds like what we got here. 1938, Hitler takes over Austria, Czechoslovakia, then divides. France, largest army, did nothing. Britain, largest navy, did nothing. Poland with Russia. This starts World War II. Amazing when you know the truth about these things. I'll tell you, I just was like, wow, I never heard. I'm taking the notes and listening. I've never heard this shit before. Germany invades Russia. U.S. gets into the war. War's over May 1945. This is July 20th, 1993. Get back to free trade and sound economic policy. 1945, Bretton Woods, form of the gold standard. Two arguments. Keynes wants a worldwide currency. U.S. wants a gold standard. Why are we fucking listening to Keynes? God, I hate this guy. He's a British guy. If you ever hear of the London Economic School, it's socialist. It's not good. This is the problem. A lot of these guys go to London and go to England to get trained, and it's all socialist. It is not free market, laissez-faire Austrian economics that London is teaching, at least not this London Economic School. 1947, the General Agreement of Tariff and Trade, or GATT as we know it, U.S. led this, 1947. How did the various economies fare with GATT and Bretton Woods? The leaders, common denominator, old man, kept their distance. Japan, MacArthur, our general, was a great leader, military genius. They need a head of society, a monarchy. England, Spain, France need a king. MacArthur wrote the Japanese Constitution. I bet you didn't know that. Two problems. Farmers received a lot of political power and no military. Can't trust them after all that they did. And Germany should not have a military either. No armed forces, so less taxes with no military budget. Research and development goes into consumer goods. This is why Japan got good in the 70s and 80s. However, there were high food prices and high real estate in Japan because of this. 1940 or 1950, Truman's now the president. We get the Korean War. What the fuck was this about? Policy of containment, contain communism. Bob ends the Korean War in 1952. Eisenhower. Now, I have no idea what this war is, why they did it, or anything. I guess it's just to contain communism. Why is communism the problem? It'll blow itself up. You've got you've got Austrian economics and Say's Law and Adam Smith. You're fine. Let them have communism. It'll blow up because it doesn't work. MacArthur, 1950 to 52, in Japan, women can vote. Okay, Japan, Shigeru, first elected prime minister, replaces MacArthur, head of the government. So MacArthur's running Japan in 51 and 2, the U.S. general, and then the Shigeru gets voted in again. He's elected. So they're actually having elections, not a king. 30th strongest economy. He makes Japan a growth company, a lot of reinvestment in R&D, favors savings, first 10,000 tax-free, savings go up, interest rate drops, second strongest economy in the world, low standard of living. So again, you go to Adam Smith, you follow our principles, and all of a sudden you're number 2 in the world in an economy. This is what China was doing until they went back to socialist policies with their housing. This is why their housing's blowing up. They're not regulated. They're making houses that don't exist, and that's why it's all tumbling down. Keynesian economics is communism. Barking up the wrong tree. Keynesian's communist. Yeah, Pedro Martinez is not in class today. He was vampiring big time the other day. I'm about to give him the Phil treatment if he comes back and doesn't behave himself. Because I don't know who it is, but it's no Pedro Martinez. Nothing. You never heard of Keynesian economics? This whole thing's this Keynesian thing. It's about communism, government control, the market. We're for Austrian economics, where we control the market. We go and make money and we spend it on what we want, and people make. So if we want Coca-Cola or Diet Coke, or we want pots and pans or pens, they'll make it for us, and then we spend our money on it. So they're listening to us, not in Keynesians. It's communism, where if you know anybody in Russia, they're the government's the one making the decisions for everybody. That's why everybody hates Russia who lives there. It's not good. And the only way you can win is you don't know what I want. You don't know what Bobby wants. So we choose. We want to buy golf clubs or bowling balls. You don't tell us what we want to buy. We determine what we want to buy, and a lot is based on what we work, and that develops our skill set. So Bobby sits there and goes, I can make $1 million playing baseball, and he's good at baseball. He does it. If the government controlled Bobby, they'd say, no, Bobby, you're going to be a farmer. And if you don't like it, tough. And they tell you what you're going to be. So all the freedom's gone with Keynesian or communism. So we don't like it. Europe after World War II, the leaders are older men. You had all the warmongers, Mussolini, Hitler, Stalin, all these younger guys, and now it's older men. 1947, Italy, De Gasperi opposes Mussolini, so he wins. Pope Pius XI saves Gasparri. Gasparri spends the war in the Vatican, designs the reconstruction of Italy. Pope Pius XII saved the Jews. He wants a Christian democratic government. Italy, one of the strongest allies of the U.S. and NATO due to democratic government, puts in a market economy. As I'm talking, you always want a market economy. 1948, West Germany, Adenauer, leader, Earhart economics, Austrian. Free trade, puts us back on gold, free markets, privatization, covers taxes, and all of a sudden they're number 2. German economic miracle, second or third largest economy by the 80s. By doing these 5 simple: free trade, put it on gold, free markets, privatization, get the government the fuck out, and lower taxes. It works everywhere. It worked here until we fucked it up. This is how you know. This is the Titanic, right? So you know it's fine, and then you hit the iceberg. And so for us, getting off of gold, hitting the iceberg, free trade, hit the iceberg, lower taxes keep getting raised, hit the iceberg. So when I say that, I'm going off of these 5 things. This is what you need to be a power. And when you start taking these away, well, we're not going to have gold anymore. Why not? And so then I bring it up to you. Well, that's what the Romans did. They got rid of their gold and silver, and look what happened to them. And that's where I talk is based on, you keep seeing it in history. This is what you need to be the power, but this is why the U.S. is failing. We're the laws are gone, the taxes are high, we're off of gold. At what point do you not realize that we're fucked? So Keynesian economics is communism, right? It's the government controls the market and the people, high taxes, no gold. They don't believe in the gold standard. That's how the U.S. is now. It's all run. That's why most of these countries, if you notice, nobody's on gold. That's all Keynesian. George Soros is a Keynesian. He wants everybody on paper, but he's got gold, I'm sure. So this is the problem. These people are off gold, but they probably own it. And then they know this will blow up, and that's what's happening. This is blowing up. That's why you see 1 cent, because this is what I know. I know the playbook here, right? Free trade, gold, free markets, low taxes, and you're going to be the winner. And when you start doing that, it's more water coming on the boat, more water coming on the boat. This is why I'm saying gold goes up, because you've blown up your dollar. And when you've done that, gold is the key. The only way out of it is to go back. So if I'm running the U.S. now, it's free trade, we're on gold, free markets, and we'd have very low taxes. That's the only way out of what our predicament is to reset it, to go back to what works, which is this. As you can see, German economic model, second or third by the 1980s. This happened in 48. So in a few 20 years, boom. 1955, France, de Gaulle, the leader, planned like Germany. France's economy improves dramatically. So they go to the same, what I just read that West Germany was doing. So France in 55 does it. In 45, Labour Party Socialist Bevon, Britain. They replaced Churchill with Bevon. He's a socialist. They went the opposite way of the Germans. The economy went into the tank until 1980 when Margaret Thatcher comes in. 2 problems: class society and labor problems. Now we've got NATO. NATO, 1948, Europe arms against communism. Truman, containment. France, Britain, England, Germany, U.S., Italy. Our policy is nuke them. So we want to nuke the Russians. 1953, the EEC Foundation, France, Germany, and Italy, became like the U.S., single currency, freedom of trade, which to me is probably where you got the euro from, where these countries, 10, 11 countries in Europe, were trying to get away from the U.S. dollar and just use their dollar. So if you're France and you want to trade with Spain, it's okay. We're using the euro. You don't have to buy dollars to buy. So if you're France and you want to go to Spain and everything's close there, you don't have to exchange your currency for dollars to get. So you're French. You don't have to move your French to dollars and dollars to Spain. You just, you're all using the same dollars. That's kind of how they were trying to get away from the dollar, is by saying, well, our 10, 11, 15 countries, whatever it is, we'll all use the same dollar. We don't have to fuck around with this stupid Swiss to buy dollars to buy euro bullshit. European Economic Community, Europe booms. 1965 population declines due to socialist programs. Fucking socialists. God. And it's all, they want power is what it is, and they steal from us to get the money. It never works, so I don't know why it keeps coming back. It's fucking ridiculous. 727, 93, American economic policy. Harry Truman, policy containment, communism. So everybody's like, we can't let communism come. Fucking let it come. It's going to blow up. Greg John, is Austrian economics from a certain country? Well, it's from Austria. The people that thought of it and developed it were from Austria. Paper for thee, but not for me, George Soros. Yeah, well, that's what he's doing, right? He's running the elections. He's getting his people in. They're all Keynesians, and like that, they're the ones who. That's why the U.S. isn't on gold. They don't want gold. They don't have it. It's ridiculous. Knowing that everything else blows up, because eventually these morons will print the dollar to zero. That's why I'm so sure of the gold price, because your alternative is printing it to zero. So now the argument is, well, wait a minute, why is it still going if since 71, it's been 50 years, it's still there? Yeah, it ain't worth anything. And because of BRICS coming in and the ruble and the gold-backed oil and the gold-backed currency by BRICS, because nobody wants to be in the dollar, because they all know the dollar's blowing up. That's why all these central banks are buying gold. They're getting rid of they're doing what I'm doing. I'm selling all my dollars and buying gold. And that's what they're doing. They're selling all their dollars and buying gold. All the central banks, China, Russia, all these BRICS countries are getting out of their dollars and buying gold with it, because they know the dollar's not going to have a value. If they thought the dollar had value, why would they buy gold? So the only reason they're buying gold is the dollar's gone. There's no other currency to go into. You can't go into the ruble and the yuan. You certainly can't trust those idiots. Leaves you the euro, but they're printing as much as the U.S. So it ends up where you really don't have a choice. The only out is gold and silver, because these guys are going to keep printing, because they're Keynesians. So we found the Achilles heel, and we're taking advantage by buying the gold and silver. No, well, the U.S. was capitalism. The U.S. was Austrian economics, Adam Smith. That's what they were. And as I just said, we shot a hole in it, where now we don't have free trade, we don't have low taxes, and we don't have gold anymore. So the water's coming in the boat, and I'm telling you to get off this boat and get onto the gold boat, because that's your only hope, because they are blowing holes in what makes a country strong. And it's low taxes and private properties. Your property private, you own a home, you don't pay taxes, it's not your home anymore. Taxes are high, trade's not free, and you're not using gold. So for those reasons, and you don't have strong laws, right? Now it's everybody. If you know the judge, you get off, like Biden's son and Biden. So you can see it's not capitalism anymore. We've gone Keynesian, we've gone communist, but they're not saying it. So they say inflation's at 3%. You want to trust these sons of bitches? It's 20%. You don't think we're in a recession? Oh, we're buried in a recession. You've got to understand it and be smart about it, and not listen to the morons who said, "Oh, yeah, we don't know that the Japs are going to invade Pearl Harbor. We don't know that." So you got to be careful. Nothing. It's crazy how many people have no clue what BRICS is. The look on their face when you waste time trying to explain it in real life. Yeah, when you try to say gold's going up, well, gold's been low and it's not going to go up. What's different? Well, bricks. They think it's a brick on your house. That's called the competition that we need. So right now, there's no competition for the dollar because you need that middle connection. You need Swiss francs to buy dollars, dollars to buy British pounds. You need that, and there's no competition for it. You can't use rubles or yuan or yen or Argentina dollars, whatever. There's no competition for it there. But when this loses value, they'll replace it, and the replacement's going to be a gold-backed BRICS currency. That's going to make the demand for gold go up and blow up COMEX because COMEX won't be able to do these derivatives and keep the price down. Gold goes up, silver goes up, and we're sitting there going, yeah, okay, fine. We know it's going to happen, and we know why. I just read you why. And that's the point. But who gets this history? Nobody. That's why I'm here. Nobody gets this because it's not taught. You can't learn it. You can't go to U of M or Ohio State or Harvard. You're never going to learn this stuff there. Harvard is very communist. So is Michigan. I'm not sure about Ohio State, but I doubt you can learn. I think the only where you can learn it's Auburn, because I could have got my PhD, but I would have had to go to Auburn and finish up my, so the master's was 12 classes, and then I don't know if it was 4 or 6 for the PhD. I wanted to keep going because I never learned shit like this. So I wanted to learn more, but there was just no way I could go to Auburn. Probably would have been 1 year, and then I would have been Dr. I like professor. It's fine. I don't need to be Dr. Robbins, but that would have been interesting had I gotten a PhD. But I thought it's a waste of time. I'm not having a master's is going to get me jobs, not a PhD. Although I wrote a thesis on the trade cycle. I should have got it published. I guess it gives you more credibility when you're published, but whatever. But yeah, nothing. I mean, try to explain gold to people, why they should buy gold. And here's the best answer I've come up with is because this is a medium of exchange. This is just the medium of exchange, and it shouldn't be printed to death. So we need gold as the new medium of exchange to prevent them from printing this to death. However, the JP Morgans and the people in charge don't want to stop. They like that they can print the money. That's why the stock market's up. They print all this money and put it in these stocks. Look, the market's good. Then they come up with the CPA bullshit and they say, look, the prices are coming down. Well, prices coming down are not inflation. Inflation and prices are an effect of inflation, but not inflation. Inflation is inflating the money supply. That's why this is worth nothing. You can't inflate gold. Why gold is the answer. Gold's the out because you can't print it. This you print, and this you're printing, my Euro friend. So you're printing this. Therefore, it doesn't have a value because you keep printing and printing and printing. How are they going to pay for the debt? You got a fucking $35 trillion debt going up to 40. You got to pay interest on it to other countries. These are CDs or T-bills that other people have bought. So with that said, how do you pay them? You print. Well, the more you print, that's inflation. You can't just print money. So if you do, that's inflationary. And if you do, then there goes the value of it. But why hasn't it broke? Because people don't know. They haven't realized this has no value. They haven't caught on yet. And they will start to catch on. Once they realize that it's not prices going up, it's the dollar going down. Alligator's favorite line on gold. It's not gold going up, it's the dollar going down. Well, alligator, the dollar's going down and gold's not going up. It's gold as an asset can go up. The price can go up by demand. If everybody wants the Tom Brady card or the Mahomes card or the Mantle card, the price goes up. everybody wants gold, the price of gold goes up on a regular market as if it's a Rolex watch or a painting or the 1906 Honus Wagner card. It's like saying, well, that price doesn't really go up. Yeah, it does because it's a demand thing. The more you demand, the more your price. And that's what gold is. So that's why when he says that, I shake my head like, alligator, what the fuck are you talking about? It's exactly what's happening. The demand goes, but because they're keeping the price down with COMEX, that's why gold hasn't gone up, because it should go up, but they're keeping it down with these derivatives, which will blow up in a few quarters. Unbelievable. Gold has real value. The idea that paper is value it's not even an idea. It's a faith thing, I guess. You have faith in your government. They print the money. They say it's worth something, so you believe it. And it's ridiculous, but that's what happens. It's not worth anything. The value of this, once it's off gold, is zero, because it's not backed by anything that gives it the value. So if I back this by an ounce of gold, this is worth whatever the real ounce gold price is, which is not 2,000, it's much higher. But as soon as you take gold off with $1, it's worthless. It's worth the same as this glass. This glass is not backed by gold. It's worthless. The dollar is also worthless. Because where are you getting the value of it? Because it has a 1 on it or a 20. So it has a 20 on it with a president. Makes it worth $20. The problem is, what is $20 worth? Nothing. Go to the grocery store. I spent $70 today and I got nothing. I got, a can of soup. I got a pound and a half of at the deli of turkey, sliced turkey. I got shaving cream for when I shave, and some of my avocados. Not a whole lot for $70. That's the point. Before, in the 1970s, $70 you'd have a whole, you'd have 2 baskets and it'd be $100, and you'd, oh my God, I spent so much. Now you spend 70 on nothing, and you're like, that's where you're finding the value is worthless. So it says 100, but what do you buy with the $100 at the grocery store? You buy nothing. I mean, you're like, what can I leave out of the cart? Not what do I need? It's, I don't really need this. Or I was looking at razors today because I went and I had to get new shaving cream. And the razors are like $10-12 for 5 Gillette little nothing razors. And you're like, it's unbelievable. That's where they take advantage. So the question is, can you substitute away from it? So the shaving cream was $2.39. I go, oh, that's fine. But like my mouthwash went from 6 to 7. So that's, can you substitute? Well, it depends what the other brands are. And if they're, I can substitute Crest for Colgate if it's cheaper. But if it's not cheaper, then I'll stay with the Crest. And some things that you just can't substitute out. Others you can substitute: steaks for chicken, ribs for fish, pork, salmon for pork. Salmon's very expensive. So you can, you don't have to take the price increase, which is why the prices people, okay, so why isn't Coke $50 for a 2-liter? Because nobody will buy it. Even now it's at $2.89, and it's, buy 2 and get the third free. Oh, wait, so then it's really $3, $6. So now it's back to $2 a bottle, but I got to buy 3 bottles to get the 2. My dark chocolate today, it's $3.50, but the second one's half off, so it's like $1.70. So now it's $5.20. So I'm really paying $2.60 for each chocolate bar, because I'll buy 2 chocolate bars the way I go through it, and that's it. Big time difference in $70 now and $70 4 years ago, and $70 in 1971. when we were backed by gold. Go to watch Leave It to Beaver. He's at the malt shop, the Beeve, and it's 10 cents for a Coke or a hamburger or something. That's where you notice it, right? In the 50s and 60s, things were very, very cheap. And then now we just are so brainwashed, we accept, $6 a pound for hamburger. Well, back then it was probably 50, 60 cents for a pound, which you didn't have. Houses were $3,000 or $4,000 when I was way back in the 60s. Gas was like 19 cents a gallon. Now, I remember sitting in my dad's car and we'd get gas and it was 19 cents. And I, being a math person, would I didn't think anything of it. And that was the difference. It's what it buys. That's where the gold comes in. The gold doesn't change. That's the big push about gold. You can't inflate it. Now, you can certainly buy more with gold today than you could in 1970. But that's only because things are priced in dollars. And that's the whole key. Since everything's priced in dollars and the dollar gets devalued, gold buys a lot more. That's why it takes $2,100 to buy an ounce of gold, where before it was $35 to buy the ounce of gold, because that's how bad the dollar's slid. Soon it'll be $10,000 for the ounce of gold. And at some point, people realize it's not the prices going up, it's the dollar being worthless. But they do a good propaganda job here. What's his name? Gee, I hate when I do this. Himmler, Goering, Herr Goebbels. Herr Goebbels did a great job in propaganda, and we got our own Herr Goebbels now. The whole media is fucking around with, inflation's 3%. And all the news people, it's 3%. It's not 3%. You missed out on the 70s. I was a teenager in the 70s. I bought the first VCR that came out was about $900. It was the big wood one, and it had, you push these levers to record, to play, the pause. And I was working at the grocery store, and I was winning a ton on football. And one weekend, I bought the VCR for $900 because I worked Saturdays, and I missed the Saturday. I'd go in like 2:30 to 11, so I missed the end of the first game, and then the afternoon game and the night game. So I'd tape the two games and watch it Saturday night when I got home, or Sunday. But that was for the purpose of the football, because there was no ESPN. There was no way to watch it. And if it was a big game, Ohio State playing Purdue, I didn't want to miss the game. So I'd want to watch the game after. Greg Jenner. Remember renting VHS movies was awesome. Yeah, I could record them. So I recorded a lot of the football. And it was cool. But again, I had the first one, and it was like $900, not like $100 or $50 now. But yeah, I used to have tapes, but now there's no point. So now you got DVDs, so I watch on DVDs. But yeah, that's what happens. They slowly ruin the dollar, but it's so slow you don't notice they're ruining the dollars. That's why as soon as you hear you have a dollar and it's backed by gold, and it gets off of gold, immediately buy gold. Because what'll happen is they'll inflate the dollar by printing it. And they're going to keep doing that. But nobody will notice. They'll see prices going up, but nobody notices. Why? They just think the price goes up. And that's really that's the hocus pocus. Oh, geez, Coca-Cola went to $3 a 2 liter, bastards. It ain't Coca-Cola. It's the dollar. It takes $3 to buy the 2 liter now. So that's why you substitute out of different products. But I'm okay usually in my fruits and veggies because those really don't go up much. I mean, my broccoli went up from 2 something to 3 something a pound. But what am I buying? I'm buying, I buy a pound. So it cost me 2, cost me 3. I don't notice it compared to Coke going from 2 to 3, something you would eat a lot of. So a lot of my vegetables are not too bad. I do notice cantaloupes are 3 something now for a cantaloupe. They used to be $1.99 and stuff like that. Blueberries are pricey. They're like $5 a pint. I'm like, sorry. When you put them on sale, I'll buy them. Right now, no. Even apples, I don't understand apples like $2.99. It's like, dude, they're getting them from 5 miles away picking them off the tree. Like, what the fuck? So I don't get why apples are so expensive. It's inflation, but is it? I mean, it's just you're picking it off a tree and driving it here. Gas prices haven't gone up as far as I can see. So what is the thing? And then they raised healthcare prices and everything. So it's very difficult for anybody to really survive without gold because the value of everything's dropping, but nobody knows it. So they're all getting made off and they're all getting gold. They're getting to the point where it's losing, they're losing their value, and you need gold to maintain the value. Like if you bought gold way back, it was at $35 or let's say $75 for an ounce. It's worth $2,000. You made a nice return, but even that isn't good. And that's where I kind of bitch where people say, well, they're trying to keep the price down. Well, they're doing a lousy job because it's $2,000 for the gold. You'd have thought if you're really trying to get the gold price down, it'd still be $35. That price would never have moved. But that shows you how much the dollars dropped, that it now takes $2,000 to buy the same ounce that took $35. But I will disagree with Alligator and Mark McGuire. It's not the price of gold going up. It's the dollar going down. Bullshit. It is the price of gold going down. It's a double because of the COMEX depression of it. You're going to get that taken off. So gold will go way up based on getting out of the COMEX deal. And then you might be right where gold won't have a value, but you only have 255,000 tons of it. So once there's more than demand for 255,000 tons, which is mostly the central banks, and me and you buying a half ounce here and an ounce there, the price has to go up because there's not enough of it to keep the price down. And that's the other thing that these guys miss. TK was a one-man film team back in the day. Well, it's just the football games. Well, I'm working at the grocery store. I'm 16, 17, but you know how I am with football. And I bet a lot of money back then. And so it was more or less, you'd want to see, USC and Oklahoma. I remember that game. You'd want to see the game, and it's on ABC, but you're at work, so you don't have anything to watch it on. So when you get home, you're watching that game. But that's what I see. I was thinking about that, Greg and John, before. Like I was home the other day, I think Saturday, and I was looking for something to do. I didn't want to go to the casino and play poker because I'd rather buy gold and silver. That's why I went to the gold store. So now instead of going to the casino, I go and I buy a quarter ounce of gold for $5.50, or I'll buy 10 ounces of silver, and I can't lose. I know I'm going to make good money on it. And I was thinking, what did you? So then I come home and I turn on a movie on Tubi or Pluto or even Netflix. And it dawned on me, yeah, before you'd go on a date, you take your girl, you go to the movies and you go to dinner. I don't even think you'd do that. I don't even know if there is movies anymore. I mean, you got so much at home that you can watch, or, I can turn on Netflix. I don't need to go to the movies. And it's really terrible because that was a nice date, getting out and being with your girl in a dark thing, watching a new movie. And I think the last things I went to was like Lord of the Rings. I saw at the movie theater. That was probably the last time I was at the movie theater. There's just no reason but I don't like, you kind of get paranoid being in the house. You want to get out of the house. That's why I go swimming every day. It gets me out of the house. And I can swim, and it keeps me in shape. Then I stop and get a little bit of groceries here and there. Again, getting me out, giving me something to do. Yeah, I like playing poker, but at this point, why risk it? It's stupid. Let's see, Greg and John. I still like VHS movies. You can find them at those charity shops. Yeah, but why? What do you can watch DVDs. I just watched The Cincinnati Kid. It's on Tubi. A lot of these old World War II movies. I just bought on eBay the Where Eagles Dare with Richard Burton. It was a great movie. I got that on DVD, so I don't need that, and I just put it in my DVD player and watch that. So I always have. You're almost going back to DVDs because now with so many commercials on that, and Netflix has 5 movies that you want to watch, and then it's like, how many times do I want to see this movie? And that's the problem with it. So I don't understand Netflix, why they don't just have the catalog and just pick your movie. It would have been better. A lot of movie theaters are going out of here's my thought with the movie theaters like Vegas. I would show football games in my movie theater. I would sell hamburgers and hot dogs and chips and cold beer and Coke, and not that Coke, regular Coke. And then I would have it dark and have the football, have the Michigan game or Ohio State game, have it on TV, have it on in the thing. And you pay $10 and all the food and watch it, and off you go. And because I love Vegas, that's the thing at Caesars. If you notice my new front that I put in, it's Caesars Palace. It's dark, the games are on, and the betting odds. And that was my idea. I thought, what a great idea I had. Bobby Bo, I had one of the girls make me a whole duck yesterday for the game. I don't have it that much, but yeah, isn't it like chicken or turkey? It's in the bird family. So yeah, I think I like it. Pre-COVID, there were movie theaters that you could get dinner and a beer. Yeah, but they should put the ball games on instead of the movies. I mean, how many times are you going to go to see the movie, right? So Batman, I saw The Batman in Alabama. Okay, I saw it. Now what, right? But if you got a game on, if you had a football game every Saturday, you've never seen it. You're going to go back. That was the beauty of my idea. Bobby, what's the movie you mentioned earlier that you watched last night? Where Eagles Dare. It's a war movie, World War II, where they were cool, and then of course against the Germans. And it's Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood, and they got to go. It's this whole, what they're trying to do is there's guys in the Germans have infiltrated MI6, and so they're trying to create this whole thing where they go to this German thing and they ask the Germans without realizing, right, that they're telling them, are these the guys? And the Germans are going, yeah. Then they kill all the Germans. And it's exciting, and it's a good movie, but they find out who is the traitors, and then they kill them all to get them out of MI6 because the Germans have infiltrated it. Good movie. Highly recommend it. Netflix is about to get some WWE. Why do I want to watch WWE on Netflix? Jesus. What is your favorite place to watch a game in Vegas on a nice big screen? Well, it was Caesar's Palace. That's my picture. So when you go into Teaser King on YouTube, that's my picture. Let's see. So it's right here. That's Caesar's. You got your odds, and then you got your big screens. And this is when it was free to just the seats. What did I just do? Move it. I guess you can move the pictures. Where did it go? We're like here. This isn't the same. It's light out, but normally the screens are dark, and then you got the odds, and then you can just sit. This is when they were free. Then they made them like you pay like $100 now to fucking watch the game. It's like they're chasing you out. So here, it's a little bit better. So you can see it's pretty dark, and the game's on, and that. So this is then you just walked up to the thing and bet. I'll bet $100 on the game that's about to start, and then when the game's over, you win, you cash it in. So that's really what I liked. Just a second, baby. Okay, so my favorite. So yes, especially because you can bet on a game, we can't bet on a movie. Well, and how many times you're going to see the movie where it's a different game every week? That's the beauty of football. Trading play, yeah, Eddie Murphy and whatchamacallit. God, the guy from Saturday Night Live. Oh my God, my mind. I'm losing it. What's his name? He was in the Blues Brothers, Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. It was Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, and they traded places because they were, working for an investment firm. And the best part of it is he explains the firm to Eddie Murphy because he doesn't know anything about it. And he goes, "Sounds like you're a couple of bookies because if you bet on orange juice to go up or down, they get the commission, which is just, it's better than a bookie because the bookie only makes commission if you lose. If you win, I don't get anything." But that's what this whole thing was like, commodities and gold and orange juice and stuff like that. And they would put the bets down for them. So he goes, "Yeah, you're a couple of bookies." It was perfect. Yeah, that's an excellent movie. It's on Tubi now, I think. No, it's on Pluto now. Very good. Eddie Murphy's great. You can bet on the movies, Bobby, at the Oscars. Greg and John, you're vamping. The Oscars, what can you bet on? Who's going to win? Will there be a Swift on-screen prop bet for? Well, she'll obviously be on screen, even if Kelsey doesn't do shit. Or are there prop bets on if the host will get slapped again like Chris Rock. Yeah, probably. There'll be a prop bet on anything they can get that'll give you bad odds and they can win on. OU, or over under, how many times on screen? Yeah, probably 20. You eat meals in there while watching? Yes, I do. If I were to get like, I would stop at the drugstore, CVS, and in Vegas, across the street from Caesars, they got cantaloupe slices and get your Fritos and get your Coke and get little tuna sandwiches. So I'd bring the bag and I'd come in and I'd start eating my sandwich and my cantaloupe and my Fritos and my pop. They didn't really care. Nobody said boo. But that's what I would do. I'd stop at CVS, and everybody did, because Caesars now chases you away because they don't have very much restaurants. And the ones they do, they're like, the buffet's $60 for the buffet, and you're waiting like a half hour to use it. It's like, fuck this. You got to be, what do you got? Shrimp and steak. How much New York strip do you have on there for $60? You're going to be disappointed. How many games they have on? Well, in pros, they'll have all the games. So if you're watching on a Sunday and there's 6 games on at 1 o'clock, all 6 will be on the big screens. And then if, like last night, it would be on this huge screen and some of the side screens. So like the Super Bowl will be on one huge screen. Well, that was Caesar's Palace many years ago. Now it's a little bit more confusing. And they want to charge you $150 to sit in the fucking seat. So I'd go to the poker room, and then they wouldn't let me watch the game from the poker room unless I was playing poker. But if I was playing poker, I got to concentrate on poker. So I wanted to sit on the table and watch the game, which I could see, but they didn't like that. But this is how stupid Caesars is. So instead of having me go and watch the game and order food and go shopping after the game and play poker or craps after I won, and now they chase you away, and it was free drinks. So you could get maybe a drink card and it would be free drinks. And now they chase you out of there. Who's going to spend $150 to watch the game? So you go to the Venetian and do it, or you go to I would go to Mirage and do it, but they've blown up the Mirage. It's crazy. Yeah, Dan Aykroyd. Yeah, it was but it was it was dark. It was a great place to watch. I watched the Alabama-Auburn game where Auburn ran the kickoff back, or the missed field goal back 100 yards to win the game at the end. I was at Caesars, and I was the only one on Auburn, and everybody's on Alabama, and I'm going roll Tigers. That was great. And I won. I had Auburn in 17 or something like that. Bobby, I actually had some Fritos yesterday. There you go. TK, you got a COVID info now on your video? No, it's not a COVID info. It says COVID-2, does it not say COVID-2 on it? Meaning that Irina got COVID and Daria got COVID recently. So I'm going COVID-2. Is that what they're giving? Is that what they've just created? This idiot scientist, and I'm forgetting his name, but is this COVID-2 that they're doing? Because clearly we had COVID-1 a couple years ago, and I was shocked that Irina and Daria got COVID again. What do you mean you got COVID again? So that made no sense to me. So I'm saying, oh, this must be the second round of it. So that's why I said COVID-2 with a question mark. It's not info. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, I agree. Nice place. Is that couch behind you where you watch the games? Take your damn right. Well, I had a couch where is it? I had a couch I had a different couch in Alabama. That's my setup. I had a couch in Alabama, but with the problem with the movers, I gave it to a church, and I said I'll buy a new one. So this is a new one I bought. I got a new table, a new couch, and a new bed that I bought here. But don't ever buy from Gardner White; it's terrible. And then I got a new TV at Walmart. So it's $200 for like a Roku TV. So I get Pluto and I get Tubi on it, and I get Netflix and my YouTube on it. I was going to get a stand for it, and so I ordered one, and it was broken, so they couldn't deliver it. And I just said, how the fuck? And I paid for it. So I paid up front, and they had one in inventory that I did not expect to be damaged. So it was damaged. I said, fuck it, just give me my money back. And I tried to find one, and now I don't know how long I'll stay here. And so I don't want to keep buying furniture and having to move it. So I'm like, so just the essentials, kitchen table, chairs. The chairs suck. They all broke on me. They're very weak. So I'd kind of bend over like this or move, and the legs started cracking. So my chairs are fucking, they're fucking ridiculous. So I got a new chair. So I'm like, okay, so I don't know how long I'll be here, but I want to be free to move out. I don't, want to be here too much longer. And again, I'm waiting for gold to go up, and then I don't know. I'll try Switzerland, and I got to see if they're going to a gold back euro. If they go to a gold back euro, and then it's up to Daria. I think she wants to live here because her sister from Russia married an American guy, and he turned out nice. So she thinks, oh, I'm an American, so I'll marry you. So I'm trying to train her better. Like today, I didn't hear from her, but she kept going on her WhatsApp. So I'd say, oh, she's on, or she was just on, but she didn't say hi or anything. And I just scratched my head going, what the fuck? Why? And I know she works. She has a hard time text. She says, I can't text from work. So I think that's what it is. And who knows, in Russia, it's slave labor probably. I doubt she makes too much. But so I think that's what it is. And then tomorrow also, I was at work. I couldn't text. And I'm like, okay. Seems like all these guys here in class are a bit touchy about COVID. Yeah, I can't imagine the government fucking us over and we're not touchy about it. Nothing. If I was losing a game, I would not want to be in a well-lit room. Well, just don't lose a game. That's all. I'm 11-1 in the playoffs. Do you realize that? The only loss I had was that fucking Buffalo when it was snowing on that Saturday night, and they weren't going to score any points. So I bet it under, and then they switched the game to Monday. Otherwise than that, I've won every game. So I've been red hot, but it's all beautiful. I just figure out the defense, and I go over. I go, it's KC, go under, and off we go. Just let me sit in the dark and stew a little. Don't let it bother. You got to be more stoic. I got a stoic thing for you guys. It's a short, so it'll take 30 seconds. Nice, very cool setup to see Lamar get his ass whipped by Mahomes. Well, I was watching Mahomes whip ass. She's moving to Michigan to marry the professor. She wants to. That's what we're meeting in Turkey because we haven't met in real. We've just met on Skype, and then we're on WhatsApp all the time. We send each other videos. She knows I'm nice. She says, I feel safe with you because I care about her, and I'll help her with rent and food and her daughter, so she feels safe. She knows enough about me, seen me enough. So I'm like, but we got to meet in real. I got to make sure everything is what we say it is. And so that's what the Turkey trip is, because it's been delayed 2 years from this fucking war. She invites me to St. Pete. She says, just stay with me for, a month and get to know each other. And, and then the war starts. So that's hurt it also. And when I meet Jenna finds out about Daria because she sees me on WhatsApp. and I'm saying love you and giving her hearts, and Jenna's getting upset, and I'm like, oh, she's just a friend. I haven't even met her. They're just friends. And Jenna's like, you're my boyfriend. And I'm like, no, Jenna, I'm stoic. I don't play that game. I do what I want to do. So she's been okay with it. I think she's mad, but it's nothing she can do. But that's the plan. I don't know if it'll be Michigan, but she wants to live in the U.S. because her sister lives here and married to an American, and that's working out. She says, oh, okay, I can do it. God knows what the Russians are told about America. It's like us being told about the Russians, but not the people. I mean, Putin might be nuts, but the girls are hotter than shit. And then they see, oh, all the American guys, they're millionaires. They do this and that. And she still says, you're not like the Russian guys. And I'm still trying to figure out what she means. Anyway, Gregor John, TK, is YouTube is showing info links about COVID now on your video? No, God, just check the title. In the title, it says like COVID-2. It's not a link. I'm just asking the question, is there a COVID-2 out, like gold price and playoffs and everything? It's just part of the title. Yeah, we haven't went over Stoicism in a while. Which link, Greg John? Is it the one that says get the latest info? What am I don't see get the latest info. Where are you talking about? In mine or on YouTube? My title, Teaserking NFL Playoffs KC San Francisco Gold Inflation COVID-2 with question marks. Economics master's class professor. Where are you guys seeing this? Get the latest info. Where is that? I don't have it in my thing. And in my description, I don't have anything to do with COVID. I just put it in because of the girls. So I don't know what you guys are talking about. Anyway, let's go Stoic.
Signs of a weak man.
Okay, so this is a 14 signs of a weak man. And it's only a minute. So they just go sign 1, sign 2, sign 3. Greg and John, you're in here about 4 or 5 times. Okay, so this will be a 1 minute Stoic video.
14 signs of a weak man. 1. He has a victim mentality. 2. Complains instead of fixing his own problems. 3. He's easily influenced and always looks for validation from others. 4. He can't control his sexual urges and food cravings. 5. He has weak eye contact, sloppy handshake, and afraid to stand for what he believes in. 6. He's a nice guy who struggles to say no. 7. He believes his parents are to blame for his misfortune. 8. He distracts himself with pleasure and has no goals in life. 9. He can't control his emotions and is easily offended. 10. He's desperate and puts women on a pedestal. 11. Gossiping about others versus discussing ideas. 12. He's fat and in bad shape, but does nothing about it. 13. Lacks self-discipline and action. 14. Gives constant excuses and complains about his world, but does nothing to change it. Last warning.
All right, Greg and John, how much of those were yours? Mr. Luke, what's going on? It's an ad. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Greg, 4 or 5 times. That was, but that's actually, hey, Luke, good afternoon. But that's, 14 signs of a weak man in the Stoic world. So, well, we all like sex. So I'm probably guilty of that one, but most of it I'm not. So these are my comments to Alligator. So Alligator was on As Good as Gold, and he pisses me off. So they're going to do this conference or something later in the year. So he invites Alligator and then the Cowboy Halter guy and Lynette Zing. So I comment this. I'm surprised you didn't add me to your Australian economics show. Very disappointing. The guests you have are not even economists. Holter and Zhang are clueless. I love when I do that. And I think I did another. I did one when I responded to a comment. The guy doesn't I said the question asked Alligator was, why is gold price not going up? And he goes into this tirade of not answering it. Well, I'm glad you're here, Luke. So I got a video for you that you'll like.
That it's multiple times. Check with your broker. In fact, it is most likely that a very large percentage of these excess reserves now sit in the form of a massively unreported multi-trillion-dollar gold bullion hoard. And while the exact level of unreported bullion holdings is difficult to auditively lock down, the potential is that these unreported state-held shadow bank holdings could equal between plus or minus 40,000 tons, which brings us full circle to jiving with our contacts' observed estimates. There is no other plausible way that China really could, under the radar, have accrued this much bullion in exchange for dollars without drawing attention to this de-dollarizing process. Now, our well-connected Chinese contacts aside, the average of multiple credible sources have estimated China's gold reserves really constitute something around 30,000 to 40,000 tons of gold, which, to stay on the radar for now, are salted amongst these state-held banks and could be crystallized with a click of a mouse. Now, this conservatively suggests that the percentage of gold that backs the aggregate total of reported and if this is Setster's reported 6 trillion assessment of China's FX reserves, is plausibly closer to a staggering plus or minus 40%, alongside what could be estimated to constitute the highest global to GDP ratio of all central banks, multiples of the European gold to GDP average of around 4%. Now, if you recall, Shane, in our last episode, we looked at the ramp up and the potential scale of this de-dollarization process and why, Taiwan escalations aside, it doesn't suit China to shoot themselves in the foot by invoking the nuclear option of openly dumping treasuries. What is becoming clearer, though, is that China has, through their secretive shadow banking operations, been stealthily converting a large percentage of these hidden 3 trillion of largely dollar FX holdings into physical gold. And once this is ultimately revealed, the price of gold will far exceed Saxo Bank's $3,000 per ounce 2024 estimate, likely placing this as a floor to actually rally off, which is kind of what I was alluding to last episode. Now, if it needed to be invoked, the nuclear option is for the Sino-Russia alliance to openly revalue their gold reserves, which, to avoid a related interconnected currency breakdown in the other global foreign exchange currency crosses, which gold is, would trigger every other global central bank to also revalue their central bank gold reserves, a process that, as we've talked about before, can be done with a click of a mouse. And as we previously outlined in a couple of other episodes, this can be effected by central banks simply selling existing undervalued gold revaluation account, gold holdings in that account. Say, and it's pretty much, let's say liquidity provider's figure is probably valued around $1,200 for the European central banks. And then to sell, and then literally then into a bid-only market, immediately rebuy the same number of ounces back at market. So it could be $2,500, it could be $3,000, instantly crystallizing a gold asset gain, bolstering their GDP gold correlation, which should be supportive of their currencies and really locking.
All right. So the key there is 3,000 is at least the bottom, if not more, once BRICS comes out with their gold-backed currency or even the announce and everything else. So there's one other one I wanted to share with you guys on silver. Oh, here it is.
Information anywhere else except right here on Live from the Vault. Now, Andrew, how would all of this impact silver?
Yeah, Shane, this is where it gets really funky. The fallout of a gold price revaluation will implode the synthetically priced silver market completely. Currently, in order to control one 5,000 ounce contract of silver, the CME requires a tiny $9,000 maintenance margin on deposit. And given the advantage of the house managed illegal position concentration, which Art Chilton talked about, it's been agreed multiple times that they have an excess position concentration, which is illegal technically. This enormous level of leverage is how the house market makers, the silver pit managers, have been able to control the massively paper-diluted silver market against this scattered group of speculative commodity trading advisors. Now, first-year liquidity providers are not stupid. Guess who's going to be on the wrong side of these bets? And currently, so a 5,000 ounces of silver is valued around $115,000. And to control it, the tiny $9,000 borrowed from the house to control each contract is historically around 8%. The implications for silver are enormous. As a result of the house running a massive leveraged, multifaceted, concentrated derivative book on these contracts, silver has become the most undervalued commodity on the planet Earth, purely synthetic. A gold price revaluation would break the ratio trade these insiders rely on to contain these purely synthetic silver contracts, likely reverting the current ludicrous 90-to-1 ratio, 90 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold, closer to more like 15-to-1 or lower. Disbanding this ratio trade in itself would raise the price of each silver contract currently contained to the low 20s to about plus or minus $200 an ounce. This would likely force the 8% margin to increase to, at best estimate, 50% or to as high as 100%. Once again, longs would have an edge over the shorts here. So if we took 3,000, if we took 3,000 gold as the revaluation point, the completely synthetic derivative determined ratio trade would be blown out of the water. The short gold or silver ratio legs would be caught up in the underlying volatility, and both sides would scramble to square positions as the entire precious metal derivative complex collapsed into absolutely unfactored, unknown territory. One way or another, once silver rises above the technical and cartel defended fracture point of $35, derivative determined ranges would implode, triggering a bid-only short covering ramp well in excess of the 2011 $50 highs. So, who would be caught out into this revaluation? Every single CTA, commodity trading advisor, was.
So that's good news. So when it blows, and you won't see silver. What did he say? 300, 400 an ounce, and I say 1,000. But that's what Mark McGuire was talking about last week. But yeah, what we're trying to do is get COMEX to implode or blow up, and get a physical price on the gold and the silver. So once gold goes to 3,000, based on what Saudis and the Russians want gold for oil, and the BRICS coming out backed by gold, or the Russians coming out backed by gold, and then the BRICS, it'll blow everything up. So when people ask, well, why is gold? Why should I buy gold? Why will it go up? It's all BRICS. It's all the demand for gold and blowing up the COMEX. That's our enemy, is COMEX. That's JP Morgan. So once we kill that, then we can relax, but it's just a matter of time. That's what you got to understand. And that's why it's not risk. But we've got the beautiful opportunity. It waited for us. We were able to cash out and buy at these cheap prices, especially silver at 25. You can still go buy it. Like when I was at the coin store the other day, it was still 25 an ounce. I showed you he didn't have much, but he had some. And all the gold he gets is just simply, there was a story that I talked about the other day. I don't think you guys were on. So I'm talking to the owner of the gold store, because he likes talking to me, because I actually know what I'm doing. $200 silver. Yeah, but once it hits 2, it goes to 5 to 1,000. Because as people realize that the dollar's worthless and it's at 2, everybody will buy it. That's what I'm banking on. Sounds like it could all break quickly when it happens. Yeah, well, the boat will sink, right? So the guy goes to me. He says, Howard, he said, some lady came in here to buy gold and didn't understand the premium. And he says, I didn't know what to do. So to him, it's a vampire, and he doesn't want to talk to her. And he thinks he's scamming her by charging the premium. And I said, well, obviously she doesn't know. He said, well, that's why I didn't want to talk to her, to try to explain it. So people don't get the premium. It's what they make on the gold, so like the Canadian Club, when they make it, let's say costs $20 a bottle, but you're running the grocery store. You're not going to sell it at 20. You paid 20 for it. You're going to sell it for 50, because that's what the market will bear. So you call it a premium, but this is what I'm marking it up, and I'm going to sell it at 50 because I only had to pay 20 for it. And that's how silver and gold work. They pay spot for it. So if the spot's $22 or $23 for silver, they're selling it for 25. And the gold they buy for the spot of $2,025, and they sell it for $21.25. So he makes $100 an ounce on gold because there's demand for it. So there's demand if they can charge a premium. There's no demand, they can't charge a premium. So if it was still $300 an ounce, you'd go in and buy it for $300 an ounce. So they make they make very little on it. But since people come in, so if people come in the store to sell their gold, they get spot. They don't get, like, you think you're getting the premium, you don't. So if it's $2,000 and he sells it for $2,100, you're getting the $2,000. You're getting the premium on it. And then I come in and I buy it because there's some inventory available. So I thought that I says what you should do is just show her eBay and say, look, here's the coin on eBay. It's $21.30. I'm selling it for $21. You want to buy it on eBay? You buy it from me. This is what it's for. But really, you've got to understand premiums, their markup. That's what they do. As if the difference is, you don't know. Let's say that you want to buy a wedding ring, and it's a diamond. and he says, I'm selling it for $2,100. You don't know what he paid for it. You know, he marked it up, but you don't bitch. Well, wait, you only paid $1,800 for it. I'm going to give you $1,800. No, the selling price is $2,100. So that's basically what gold is. The selling price, that's his selling price. The difference is, you know, his spot, and you don't know, but you can see what he's selling it for. So if it was 2,100 and you didn't know it was 2,000 spot, would you question it? Probably not. But here you have the opportunity to see the spot. So we know, and we know the spot's bullshit. So that's where we're at. Well, I think. So what you got to realize, Luke, Bobby, is the people are clueless. They don't understand why you buy gold. They don't understand the dollar's worthless. There's a lot of economics they have no fucking clue about. So therefore, they got their heads in the sand, and they're, I got 100, 200,000 in my bank. I'm fine. I'm going to go retire and, take trips and get girls and all this stuff. And what they don't understand is, but the dollar's worthless. It's zero. So in a little bit of time, your money in the bank's worthless. And your only option is to trade out of it. And you can't go to another currency, so you must go to gold and silver. That's really the argument that people need to be taught, but aren't. And nobody's taught what I learned 1993 in Austrian economics. And interesting. So that's really what the key is. I was just reading my notes on Kennedy and the Vietnam War, what they were. But anyway, so that's my point. It's not because we like gold. It's not because we dislike the dollars. We just don't trust the government, and they're the ones printing this. So we know this has no value. And so I want to get out, but every other currency is in the same boat because George Soros put us in that boat. So Keynesians don't like gold. So these are printed, and the Keynesians keep printing it and don't back them by gold. And the Keynesians are just, we'll print as much money as we want, not understanding there's a problem printing all the money you want, that you can't. It'll go to zero. And that's the difference. So when you look out, what other thing can I buy? And it's, you can buy a little Rolex watch or a little Mahomes card, but basically it's gold and silver. You basically need money. And because the way the system's set up is, I get money from work, the medium of exchange, and then I buy food and clothing and pay rent and utilities. So you use this to do it. So that's why you buy gold and silver. You'll need to replace this, and they'll need to replace how they bill you. Now I'm going to bill you in gold and silver. How can they do that when how many people have gold and silver? Besides us in our little classroom, not that many people have gold and silver, or enough of it. I gave my friend Julia 10 ounces of silver. Okay, that'll last her, a month or two, but she's going to use that for food. And, how are you going to charge me for my utilities? And so as soon as people understand that the dollar is worthless, not the costs are going up, like everybody's mad at Coke because the price is going up. It's got nothing to do, well, a little bit with Coke, but it's because the dollar has no value. So as people wake up to that, that's when the fan goes, Luke, Bobby. That's what we're waiting on, is for that, right? Once we realize that, we already know, right? We already know it's gone. We've already got into the gold boat, and that's the thing. And you'll realize that's your only play. Yeah, you can, like I said, you can buy the cards a little bit. You can buy jewelry a little bit, but it's really the gold coins and the silver is really your only and best play, because they can't print them, is why. You can't inflate gold and silver. This you're printing to death, but that you can't because you can't print it. That's why everybody's on the gold standard, because you haven't ruined it. It's been around since the Romans, and it still isn't inflated. And even though we find a couple thousand tons a year, it's nothing compared to the demand. So as people wake up and realize it's the dollar that's been fucked over, and they're realizing the government's fucking them over, now they just got to realize the dollar's fucked up. They have no option but to go into gold and silver. And then we get the frenzy you keep referring to, because as everybody realizes the Titanic's sinking, what do? They frenzy to the lifeboats. Well, that's what's going to happen with the gold. As people realize they've been fucked and the dollar's worthless, then they run to gold because that's the only out. And as gold gets really expensive, they run to silver, and that's when silver goes up in price a lot. So that's really the key to it, and that's really what we're waiting for. So anyway, it says as people realize is when it breaks. And if, we realize it, but as more people realize it, so we got to get enough people to realize it to get out of dollars to buy the gold. Even though the gold demand is high with the central banks, COMEX is still doing its best to fuck everything up and keep the price down because they don't want the competition with the dollar. Once gold competes with the dollar, gold wins every time. So that's what they're looking at. So that's the big thing. So let me read my last page. American economic policy. Now, I got to go all the way to Reagan. So we're doing presidents from Truman to Reagan. I don't want to get into that. We go all the way to Bush and the fall of communism. All right, let's do the fall of communism. That's always a fun topic. The fall of communism, election of John Paul II as Pope. He's Polish. Cardinal Wyszynski lays basis for solidarity, the key to kill communism. This solidifies the Polish to see they can fight communism. It's powerless against them. So I guess Poland must have had communism like Russia did. Then they became free elections in Poland. So then they can do that. Internal problems were economic in communism, technology revolution, the computer chip, information, TV to Russia, make propaganda false. So everybody, they're telling you, it's blowing the smoke up your ass. But once you realize that wasn't any good, then you got out of communism because you could see it wasn't any good. Israelis have better technology than Russia. The election of Ronald Reagan, the Afghan war of liberation, Stinger missiles shoot down helicopters. We have technology advantages, and the Stinger missile was cheap, so we had economic advantage. Star Wars works economically. The agreement between the Vatican and Reagan. That's what brought down communism. So when George Soros tries to take credit for it, he's the reason. So Reagan does kill communism for those reasons. So I thought that was very interesting. But communism it's government trying to control. I mean, it's just like these what do you call them? These, not liberals, but these globalists who want to control everything. They're communists. Basically, it's the same thing, just call it a different name. They want to control you. And nobody wants to be controlled, but they can't really control you if you don't let them. If you become stoic and just ignore this whole electric car, this whole digital dollar, everybody talks about it, but there isn't one. The closest we have is Bitcoin, which, do we all have Bitcoin? No. So what's the fucking, who gives a fuck? So there really isn't this, if you just ignore the bullshit, it's all it is bullshit. Who's going to control me? Oh, they can see what I'm watching on the internet. Well, they can see what they're watching now, but who cares? You don't have a billion people watching you, or, oh, wait, they'll go to AI, and AI can track you electronically better than people. Well, maybe, but what are you checking me for? If I don't do anything illegal, there's nothing to track me for. So that's the point of it. So yeah, you got to be careful with this AI shit. I don't think it'll work too well. I don't think CBDCs will work. Yet everybody's scared of them. Then you got COVID 2 coming up here where they're trying to kill us some more. Well, we didn't do the job with COVID 1. Let's do COVID 2. The way they're trying to kill the population is really not what you think. They're not trying to kill people. They're just not replacing people. So a lot of people are baby boomers, and just let them go. They'll die, and then you just won't replace them because the younger people are so sacked with school debt they can't even have a family. They can't buy a house. They can't buy. They don't have any money because they're drowning in debt because they never should have went to school. Once it costs too much to go and you don't get the return on your buck, you shouldn't do it. So it's only worth it if you think it's good. And then now the propaganda is it's all a Ponzi scheme. The stocks and the banks and Wall Street are all bullshit. You're going to lose your ass in those. And again, that's why I say your only out is gold and silver, because you can't lose your ass because they can't print it. But if you're in the stocks, they can manipulate the market. How many times have you woken up, your stock's at 130 when you go to bed, and then the next day or the next weekend, after the weekend, it's at 98. You're like, oh, fuck, how can I get out of it? I mean, how do I get out of the stock when it does that? That's the manipulation. That's the Ponzi scheme. You're fucked, but it'll never happen to gold and silver. That's really what you're trying to. That's another reason you get into it. It's mostly because the dollar's valueless. And it's been valueless since 71 because if it's not backed by gold, it's just a fucking piece of paper. And it really has no value. It's what it can buy and what you get paid. So if you get paid $100,000, you can buy $100,000 worth after paying your taxes. And that's really what you look at. But you can't buy nearly as much at the grocery store as you could have. That's the point. That's the only way you can really understand inflation is you start seeing that it doesn't buy what it used to. And it ain't prices going up. It just takes more money to buy the Crest toothpaste and the Oreo cookies than before. Now they're $5 a pack. All I know is I just went to there and everything was $3-4. I mean, before I used to joke it was like $2. And everything was $3 you run because you run it through yourself. And now everything's like $4. And it's just you buy less, or you drink a lot of water and popcorn, or you just simply, I try to find things that are cheaper. If I can eat them, I eat it. Now, I don't eat a lot of the crap. Oh, I noticed I bought tuna today, and I was going to get Hellman's mayonnaise because it's the only thing you can eat with it. Can't eat Miracle Whip. It's high fructose corn syrup. And I looked at it. It was like $6 a jar for Hellman's mayonnaise. And, and my canned salad dressing is now $3.45, at least where I go to Meijer's to get it. But if I go to Walmart, it's a little cheaper. But that's all it is. So all you can do is substitute. If the meat gets too expensive, you buy chicken, you buy fish. Fish is very expensive for the salmon. When it goes on sale, I buy it. But it's just the way it is. They're trying to raise their prices on you, but you won't let them. That's why companies fail, because they get the increased costs and then they try to mark it up and people won't buy it. So that's why prices are a lousy way to measure inflation, because they try to raise them, but they can't because the market says no. And if the market says no, then they lower their prices. Oh, look, inflation's down. It's not down. You've still printed $20 trillion. The value is not down, or the inflations didn't come down. The prices did, but that's not what inflation is. That's the effect. You need more dollars to buy it. That's the point of it. Well, thank you, Greg or John. If you've been watching me for the last 3 years, this is just a normal day for me. I know this stuff very well. But I think logically, that's how I can pick football games. you think logically, you ask your whys. Why is there inflation? Why is gold 2000? Why is this? Why? Things that don't add up, you dig into, and that's how you understand it. So you understand gold shouldn't be 2000, is held down. Oh, you realize it's COMEX after doing some digging. And then how do we blow COMEX up? Well, with competition, you blow any monopoly up. Okay, so we're just waiting on that. Anyway, I think it's time for dinner. 3 hours. We'll see. And otherwise, that's about it. So have a nice night. www.teaserking.com. Again, I think we hit Mahomes and we hit the Frisco over yesterday. Very easy. I mean, no stress in the Mahomes game. And really, we hit, when it was 24-all, we hit the Frisco over, which was late of the third quarter. So we were done early. That's the best way to watch the 49er game. We'd already won the over, so now we can relax in the fourth quarter. We don't need anything. We've got our score. The same thing with KC. They had a 10-point lead, and we got 10. We have a 20-point lead. And as you got, okay, now we're in the fourth quarter, then you start realizing it's a winner because Baltimore might score one. That's Zay Flowers. Okay. And then they got to, are they even going to score another? They're having a hard time scoring. So, they only got one touchdown, which was a fluke, and that's a Lamar fluke. So I think people should, now you ask about the dollar going out and people not realizing the dollar has no value. They think it's the prices going up. They're blaming the prices instead of the dollars. It's the same thing with Lamar. At what point do you realize Lamar's not good? Lamar can't win a big game. At what point do you realize this? I've realized it, 5 years ago, I realized it. And at what point do you realize Mahomes and Burrow are the superstars? And you see that, the way they play, you go, yeah, those are the two. So the only reason Cincinnati is not there is Joe Burrow got hurt. And the only reason the Jets aren't there is Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Those are the keys. If you have those quarterbacks, you win the playoff games. Those are winners. So that's really what you're looking at is, understanding. And Lamar ain't never going to win a big game. So how people bet on him yesterday, what are you thinking? Lamar, he's the MVP of the league. Really? Is he better than Mahomes or Burrow? No. So they sell you a load of goods. This is what the propaganda people, they can sell you Lamar Jackson's good, just like they sell you inflation's down, just like they sell you the economy's fine, the stock market's good. Look, everything's fine in the middle of a recession with massive inflation and high interest rates, and they're trying to sell you that Lamar's good and that the economy's good. And you don't know the economy sucks unless you hear it from me. You don't know that. So therefore, that's the problem. And if you don't know it, you're fucked. All right, time for dinner. I will see you tomorrow, same time. And we will talk more economics and start looking into the Super Bowl. All right, everybody. Have a nice night. I appreciate it. www.teaserking.com. Have a great night, everybody.